everybody. Welcome to Eden Fractal, meeting number 59. Today is Wednesday, July 19th, and we've been having some great discussions. We're already a few minutes behind schedule, so I'm going to share a quick presentation. If anyone wants to say hello, I can give a recap. We were talking about some interesting points. Lisa's inviting many people to fractals, and she was, inspiring some very interesting discussion about the best way to rank it, and also collaborations with the alien worlds and stuff like that. Marco and Tadas had great thoughts as well. Maybe I'll just jump into the presentation. If anyone wants to say hello afterwards, then feel free to do so. I'll just give a quick recap. Welcome once again, edenfractal.com. You can learn more about what we're doing here, and you can go to edenfractal.com/videos to see the most recent week. We just published the 50th episode where we talked about collaborating with Eden on EOS. Thanks, Duane, for inspiring the topic about empowering with fractals or inviting people from Eden to the community. And we also have great videos about the future of creative collaboration, gamifying public goods, and all sorts of other stuff here. But in the interest of time, we'll just go ahead and tell you to check it out when you have a chance. Eden Creator's YouTube channel, you can watch more. And we're going to be going into play Eden plus Fractal in the breakout rooms in a moment. And then after that, we're going to play Cagendas. And the topics on the agenda for today after the breakout rooms are the future of Cagendas. I made a topic about Cagendas, which is a social coordination game that helps communities create agendas, make decisions together, and optimize meetings. So there's also a page here, edencreators.com/59, where you can learn a bit more details about what I have in mind here. I think it would be a good time to have a discussion about how we can post topics for future meetings, such as the ones that Lisa mentioned. Lisa also proposed a poll last week, which is a topic, but she asked should Eden Fractal be welcoming of Eden member communities. So that's another thing we can discuss as well. And if anybody else wants to make a poll on Consortium, then you can feel free to do so. We can put it in the agenda. Anyway, we're going to go into breakout rooms now, and we're going to be going for 55 minutes or maybe 54 until the top of the hour, basically. I will stop the share here. If anyone wants to say hello, then feel free to do so. So far, it's just been me. Or if anyone wants to share something fun or turn your camera on and give a wink or something, then feel free to do so. Otherwise, I'll start the breakout rooms now. Do we have a wink from Perry? We see Perry. Oh, we got a thumbs up from Perry. There we go. Good to see you, Perry. Hope you're doing well.
You're welcome, Dan.
Awesome. You're very welcome. And yeah, thanks so much, everybody, for joining. And thanks, everybody, for watching. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but really appreciate it and excited to hear from everybody in the breakout rooms. Breakout rooms are now open. Hope you have a great time. And looking forward to seeing you back in the community room after the breakout rooms as well. Hello, Marco and Rosmari.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. It's a little bit low, though. And Lisa had made a comment about that, and it was low from me, too. And if you want to speak more, then I can test, but it sounds a little bit low still, I think.
Yeah, testing now. Have a amplifier.
I am able to hear you, but it is low. If you're able to increase the gain or the volume or something like that, then that would probably be better.
Yeah, it's really low. Then the last thing we heard you say was amplifier, and then I saw your mouth keep moving, so I don't know what happened there.
Better?
Try again, unless you only said better and the B got cut off.
Yeah. It's a delay.
How about do something we know, like Mary had a little lamb or something, and then we'll be able to tell. Row your boat.
There is a slight chance I might have to go do something.
How big of a chance that is, Lisa, do you think? And then when might you need to go?
There, two people in our community having an extremely significant call, and they might need me to join. If so, they're going to message me any second.
Okay. Well, Lisa, perhaps if you do maybe have to go, then perhaps would you like to lead us while you're still here and share what you've been doing to help Eden Fractal?
Yes.
All right. Excellent.
This week, I recruited Starship to host Eden Fractal, as you were just saying before the recording.
That's excellent. And by the way, Lisa, if you do want to turn your camera on, or if first me or Joe, anybody,
Yeah,
would
sure.
up to you though.
I was driving before, so I wasn't, but now I'm not. So
okay, cool. Sounds good.
Not cameraing when I'm driving. Yeah. So, and a friend was going to come. Unfortunately, she's not feeling well right now, so she can't join today. But soon she will. I've been trying to talk to people about different social games they can use in their communities, and Fractal is by far the most engaging live game. So yeah, I've been focused on that and thinking about how we can support fractals through Planet Eyeke. and starting discussions about that. But that's pretty much what I've done for Fractal this week. Sorry, short and sweet.
Sounds great. Thank you, Lisa. Although I think it might be helpful if you want to go into a bit more detail since you're here, and unless you got to go, but I would love to hear more about Starship, both from my own personal interest, and it does seem like that would be helpful to elaborate on. From what I understand, that's quite a popular game, and empowering them with the fractal seems like a huge contribution, depending on how interested they are and stuff like that. I'm very curious to learn more.
Yes, Deploy Starship is the group in Telegram. They have 4,262 members, 203 online right now. And they happen to have spam in their chat right now. Hold on, please. Reporting spam. Okay. And Matthew is the creator of Starship, and they have worked very, very hard for years. I think their original pack sales were like $5 million or something. So they built a lot of stuff, and they have a 2D game, and they're just relaunching as a 3D game also. And you can wear bracelets and move around in the game and travel physically that way. And they're just super willing to do stuff with us. They're adding the planets, I think, next month. We're figuring out how to do that, but the planet art and concepts, and then we'll figure out, once they launch and how to play and everything, like what that's going to look like. But yeah, Matthew's been at live meetings like 4 days in a row straight. So it's been really quite amazing. He's a great community member. He was at the AW Fractal this week, and he'd probably be here if he wasn't on a call right now. So yeah.
Awesome.
I was there. I was there when Starship started, and they've had a ton of drama and all that stuff, and he's been a big part of it.
A ton.
Yeah, like literally a ton.
It's absolutely fascinating. It should be a Harvard Business Review study. Seriously, it's insane.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing. So I would definitely tread lightly with that one, and maybe do a little. I know you have a lot of resources to check on the status of people and all that stuff, but yeah, I would definitely check that one out. It's
a matter of fact,
weird.
in this particular case, I happen to know of some incredibly surprising misunderstandings, and I'm putting myself out on to resolve those as best I can and get the people to talk about them, because it's so surprising. I've never seen like it. It's so surprising, and I look forward to them sharing all that in the public in the future. But yeah, we're hoping to address anything that is a conflict among community members, and if there's any resolution that needs to happen, that we address that as well, because there's several people who care about the related communities and are involved in that. And I think it's really great in terms of an example of dispute resolution. We don't know how it's going to go yet, but I am extremely optimistic about it. I mean, it's really a long shot that it all is resolved, but our methods in the communities of talking to each other and engaging community managers and connecting people who understand people involved, in the earthly world, that sort of thing is extremely risky. But I have a feeling in the metaverse, it's actually a really positive way. I've already been involved in a few diplomatic missions, basically to resolve disputes, and they've gone really, really well. I've sort of been surprised actually, but I have a feeling about it. So I'm happy to discuss that further with you. I mean, I'm not going to share the details that people are sharing with me necessarily, but I'd be happy to connect you to the people who are wanting to clear those up and have those discussions too.
You know what? I don't know if it's me, but you keep cutting out. Like I'm only getting every couple words.
Oh no, I'm terribly sorry. Yeah,
I think I've been able to hear it as far as I
I
could
do
Yeah,
tell.
have
it's
internet.
probably me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not in my
Probably me.
normal location, so it is a little rough out
Understood.
here. Sorry, but happy to discuss it with you further.
I heard you pretty well.
Okay, cool. Yes, I think maybe Joe, he just left and maybe he's just resetting his internet or something like that. But yeah,
Okay.
thank you very much, Lisa,
Well,
for
yeah, sorry,
explaining
my
more and sharing.
sure.
What's that? Yeah, your video's all over. You kind of pop into
Yeah,
the universe a little bit here and there, but yeah,
it'll
sounds
go
good.
better if I turn the video off. Yeah, sorry.
No, I mean it's great seeing you. I prefer when it's on if you don't care either way because it's cool seeing you. But I was just saying that you do pop
Probably better
in and
not
out of the
looking at
universe,
my
which is kind of fun. What's that?
nose. Probably better not looking at my nose, but
No, it looks great. Um,
thanks.
Thank you for sharing your excellent work and and your face and everything you're doing. Is there anything else you want to add there, Lisa, before we go on to the next person?
Um, I think dispute resolution is a great topic, and I'm actively involved in it on a daily basis. And we don't have any tools for it except conceptual tools. Um, but if people, I've heard people are building tools, and I think it'd be really interesting to talk about them if they're available, because it's such a person to person thing right now. It would be really interesting to see what people who are doing dispute resolution tools have thought about and how they might be applied in a case like this or situations. Like there's quite a few things going on actually, but you know what? It's what I've learned is dispute. Every single dispute that I've seen or been asked to discuss has been a misunderstanding, dramatic misunderstandings. And sometimes people don't know the details ahead of time, and that's why. And sometimes it's because there's a lot of people involved and they're not talking. But wow, like misunderstandings are insane. Like I didn't realize, like having friends in multiple communities and then having them share information. I didn't realize how dramatic misunderstandings can be. It's quite a big deal. And some of the, we say we want to have agreements on chain, that's part of the blockchain thing is it's online agreements, right? But then how do you state things in a way that they're clear, comprehensive, not too binding, not going to get people in trouble, like for being over promising, but yet being clear about what those agreements are and what happens if there's bosses involved. Like it's really quite fascinating. So yeah, I think this is a topic we'll discuss a lot more in the future. And actually, this is quite a case study of it. It's the best case study I've ever seen in true misunderstanding and conflict resolution so far. So hopefully they'll come talk about that all. I'm glad Joe brought it up.
Well, yep, sounds good. Oh, and speaking of Joe, he's actually waiting to come back to the breaker room. So thanks for mentioning him again.
Okay, great. Now
And
that I've adjusted this year while he wasn't here. No, I'll follow up with him too.
yeah, sounds good. And yeah, thanks, Lisa, for the inspiration with that. I do have a section about dispute resolution on Eden Creator's tools article, and I think we do have some good systems inspired by Dan Larimer. Although also we should probably focus a bit more on the structure for these breakout rooms, where we each take about 5 minutes. We try to focus more on our contributions to
I
help
know,
Eden
but you
Fractal.
did ask. You asked.
I have, I have a quick
In all
question.
fairness, I did stop and you asked.
Oh, yeah, I was asking if there's anything else you wanted to add, but I mean, I appreciate you brought it up. It's a very important topic, but I was just saying in general, we should also try to when we add more, we should add more to like what we're doing to help Eden Fractal in general. But
Yeah,
that's
it's
also a very
not
valuable
really.
contribution considering it.
It could be fractal because if people join and there's conflict, you have a huge problem on your hands. So I'm trying to address it before it gets to that. But
Mm-hmm.
since it came up.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Lisa. I see Marco has a question. If it's a question about this, and maybe keep it short so we can get on to the next person because we do only have about 40 minutes left and we need to get to everybody's contributions. But if you want to go ahead, Marco, first, go ahead.
I have a very quick contribution for the week.
Oh, contribution. Okay.
And then I can touch upon what Lisa and you just said with the language of our commentary, since it flow.
Sounds good. It is still a bit quiet. I don't know if you're able to raise your volume, Marco.
Yeah, I'm right in the mic. if I don't have the amplifier on, I can barely hear anything on the computer. I can hear it in this probably. Everything's okay. So hopefully you can hear me with this. It's just an app that's interfering with my sound through my ears.
We can hear most of it, but it's a little bit difficult to hear at the end. So if you could just try to remember to just to speak very loudly and clearly the whole time, then we'll be able to hear you well.
All right, so how about now? Because I see the yellow light delay.
Yep, it sounds good now.
All right, so my contribution for the week, and I'll keep an eye on the yellow light delay then, is I reported on the EMA Neo selection and included fractally and how it might help that out. Other things I won't go into, but I will go into this if you'd like, and you can still hear me well.
Yep.
Dan Larimer, of course, had a great idea, but it was never meant to not grow. He talks about the minimum viable community. When you're getting things started, it's just not gonna. You can't have corporations governing just a few people. They're not designed that way. And worse than that, when we talk about small companies, we're generally talking about companies that are worth at least minimum $10 million, right? That just doesn't fly in things like this. So how could we rectify that? And the simplest thing is to close the gap between the rewards. And I know people aren't going to like that because they're not going to want to pay somebody the same amount across the board. And it's really more of a token ranking because we can always go back and then adjust those rewards as it grows. But that's the key. If we only got 6-10 people here, it really doesn't matter how much work you're doing versus everybody else because next week you might be the only one here. And I don't mean you, I mean just one person, whoever it may be. But if you get 10 people and they all cut everything in half or exactly take the same piece of the pie, they're going to get a sense that there's meaning behind what they're doing. So the proposal would be keep the 6 through 1 or whatever, but just make it half points instead of 1. At least for the time being, change it a little bit, and then add that you can go back to it, or you can reward people based on that if it goes to a certain number, and put that number at a certain number of groups or something like that, where it becomes hard to manage. And that will rectify if Lisa was talking about new fractals, having a bunch of them. The one that grows is the one where the changes will be made. And then the ones making the greatest work are going to flock to the larger fractal, the more meaningful one. But this issue it happens a lot. If you come in and you're not recognizing what you're getting for the number, and you don't see a lot of people, the first thing that comes to mind is this going to last? We've been here so we know each other and we have a common interest, all of us, or most of us. It's what the ENF had talked about when they say the same people come to the same meetings across the board. So we're not breaking through that first, that mental thing of what blockchain is and what we're doing here, because all the groups are the same. Why have different groups of the same people? Because you think something may happen, it's not happening, and that's because it's not getting to the second level. And if the reward system is not designed for the small group, then that's a stress point that you got to consider. It's just a basic thing. And I know people don't like to go to lengths what Dan Larimer was doing, but it doesn't align with what he had thought of in the first place anyway. That's what I was going to. So I'll pass it over to whoever wants to go next, and we can get scientific about that if you want. I don't think we need to. I think it speaks for itself generally, but there's data and stuff like that.
All right. Thank you, Marco, very much for sharing your contributions towards Eden Fractal, as well as your feedback and suggestions for future community growth. Would you like to nominate somebody to go next?
Well, you're always here. You're the host. Everybody listens to you. So Rosmari's got her face. So Let's go.
Wait, what'd you say? I'm the host and Rosemary's got what? So who's going next?
Well, everybody hears you and everybody sees you, so Rosemary just got on screen, so go to her.
Oh, sounds good. Rosemary?
Yes. Thanks, Marco. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen.
Cool. Lisa's giving thumbs up.
Right. So this week I've been working on improving the general community stories webpage, which is Eden Creators of Confident Stories. It looks like that. It has an about page, and just made sure that everything's up to date on the about page. These are clickable. I listed the episodes featuring the most recent episode with Gozo, as well as the first episode with Dan, and then got some social links. And for each of those episodes, these are clickable. So we have a page for Gozo and Dan for show notes and the resource links. And so I just made sure that that's up to date. I'm thinking of promoting the community stories further and making a tweet and using the bees to make a swarm in the upcoming week or two. So I just wanted to make sure that that's all good, because I want to include those links in there. Then also just the creators webpage, and I did a bunch of work with editing the most recent videos that were uploaded. I don't know why these are not showing, but maybe like if I click on the videos page right there, here, I think I was collaborating with Dan to create this thumbnail for the Eden Fractal 57, as well as editing the video and just working on the show notes too. And I edited the Eden Fractal 58 video and worked on the thumbnail, which will update soon, but it looks good now. So now that's uploaded. And also then updated all the well, he created the luma links for Eden Fractal, and I made sure those are all added to the YouTube description links in the most recently uploaded videos, and as well as communicate that in the channels that people can now RSVP in here. And then I also worked on updating the events page and made sure that I also collaborated with Dan on that, of course, but just made sure that this is updated and it has all the correct details for each of the events, and listed most of the events here with the details and social links. You can see in here. By the way, we're also I also booked a place for us on the agenda on the EOS fireside chat, which is today at 19 UTC. And if you all of you feel free to join. I invited actually Douglas, or Eyeke Douglas, to also speak alongside me and present his sport project Tetra, which he made a Pomelo grant for, and to speak up more about Aquadac. And I also attended the Aquadac meeting yesterday at 16 UTC. So that was good. We shared our personal progresses there with our individual goals, self-realization goals. So that was really nice. And I think Guruso is gonna upload the recordings of these meetings soon, so I can share more widely when I get that too. Also promoted this event in all the EOS, Eden EOS and Fractally, and all the relevant Telegram chats. We're looking forward to do more tweets and just promote it more widely and more in events. But for now, like I posted this in Telegram chats. And same thing with the Fractanian Worlds and the meeting that was happening, that happens each Monday. I promoted that in the Alien Worlds chat and the Fractanian Worlds news ship and the Crown Deck Telegram chats. So you can find all the links in there. And I attended that meeting too, which went well. I also attended the Eden Town Hall meeting, and also edited the video that happened this week. It happens every other Monday. You can see more about the events page here, right here. It happens every other Monday at 17 UTC, and soon the video is going to be out for that one. So the 55th in town hall. And yes, so I think I'll leave Dan to talk about these because he set these up as well as for the in town hall, so everyone can RSVP. And yes, that's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rosmari. Would you like to nominate somebody else to go next?
Yes, I nominate Tadas.
Thanks. My internet is a bit unstable, so I won't turn my camera on. Yeah, so this week I was doing in the research mode, kind of doing a lot of research, generating alternative designs for both firmament and bounty system for alien worlds and fractal ecosystem. I say it's a bounty system, but that's how I call it, but generally it could be thought of as a general way to fund fractal contributors. And yeah, because some of what things might be different than in typical bounty system. Yeah, so I'm thinking of a bit splitting my work into this research that I'm doing and developing things I can develop right now, because so far I've been either in this mode or in development mode, and I realize I need to do both because I see some exciting ideas for the future, but like you need to start developing right now. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's basically where I'm at this week, and I think that's all from me. Joe, would you go next?
Yeah, sure. So I haven't done that much today in regards to, or this week, just mainly attended to meetings and tried to contribute just being here in person. So I don't have much to add to earn respect today. So yeah, that's it for me, unfortunately.
You always earn respect. Everything you do.
You're sweet.
And by the way, I answered your question earlier, but you weren't here, so I'll address that later with you after.
This sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good, Joe. And yeah, as Lisa said, you always earn respect. So everybody who joins earns respect. One of the beautiful things about these games we play. And then Joe, I think you also maybe, I don't know, maybe it's earlier over there and you're not remembering everything, but I know you've done more than you said there. Like, it was great hearing you contribute and inspire everybody at the Aquadac meeting yesterday, and I think the last week as well. And also the fractal apple art that you made, that video, that was amazing and phenomenal, and I think super helpful for me I think Rosmari enjoyed that a lot too. She did. We were both looking at it, and I sent you a message about what we could, about maybe using that in the future fractal episode we're planning. So that was a super cool contribution. And then if you did want to share anything more about what you're doing in general, I know you're doing a lot of really cool stuff with AI. Like you do have the stage if you want to share any more. But I wanted to highlight a few of those things and welcome you if you did want to go into detail about any of the other stuff you're doing.
You know what? Maybe next time, but I appreciate it, and I appreciate the reminder. Yeah. No, not this time. Yeah. But I appreciate it, buddy.
That sounds great. All right. Well, in that case, thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate it too, bud. And I suppose I can go as the last one. It's been awesome hearing from everybody so far, and I'm looking forward to all these collaborations, as always, but ever more every time. I'm gonna go show my screen now. Let's see what happens. So, what have I done for Eden Fractal this week? I've done a good amount, quite a bit. I'm working on this a lot. So first I'll mention the Eden Town Hall. So first we mentioned this before, I was the Town Hall. And there was only 4 of us there. We spoke with Perry. We're going to be roasting him pretty soon. And we spoke with Gabriel, who's recently elected as chief delegate. And so it was a good planning session. And then we got a nice video. And I did create an agenda for it. But a lot of it, like Rosmari was saying, I've been working with Rosmari a lot. And so a lot of it was collaborating on a better welcoming message and stuff. She showed this before. So we were figuring out the best way to welcome people to Town Hall and Eden Fractal. Previously, I was just kind of writing out some links like Zoom Room and group chat, edenfractal.com. But now worked with Rosmari, and she made it much more personal, and we worked on the best way to phrase it. So we worked on that quite a bit during the town hall, and then during the town hall, I briefly highlighted the recent Eden Fractal meetings and recent public good sessions and recent town halls and stuff like that, as well as the work with Psinq. So that video will be coming out soon. And we did make quite a nice video and also made awesome progress. Also on that same day as well, I hosted the Alien Worlds Fractal, the 5th meeting, which you can learn about at edencareers.com/alienworldsfractal, just the whole thing, or Fractalian Worlds rather. And still planning on making videos for here. I've been making some slight updates to this article, but mostly I just hosted it this week and did some other contributions there that you can see in the video soon. I mentioned before here about Psinq, which is really exciting. This is, for anybody who's not following closely, the Fractally team just announced that they're forming a new nonprofit organization called Psinq, which is a charitable research and technology organization focused on improving human coordination. And so I spent quite a bit of time over the weekend reading through all their stuff. I retweeted most of their tweets. They're very aligned with what we're doing. They inspired a lot of the games that we're playing here, as Marco was talking about with Fractally. Thanks for the thumbs up, Marco. And so, yeah, I read through everything, and I read, in particular, they have a grant submission for the OpenAI meeting, and they're planning to get together 500 people to do a fractal process like this to help guide the future of AI and make good governance decisions for AI. So I think it's really important. So I read this closely, and then I also engaged with it, and I helped promote it. It's not direct. Well, this is a contribution to Eden Fractal. It's to the whole social game process. Kevin Owacki is the founder of Gitcoin and Supermodular, and Gitcoin is the most popular. It's funded over $50 million in public goods in the Ethereum space, and he's got a huge audience, and he is all about creating regenerative economies. Thanks for the claps, Lisa, and the heart, Rosmari, appreciate it. And so yeah, I reached out to him after he put out a tweet about if he should do more Green Pill podcasts. He's got a great podcast about AI and Web3, and asked who's doing great work. So I mentioned how it'd be great to hear him speak with Psinq and Go Fractally about this. That's the Go Fractally team, and talked about their OpenAI grant, and then also talked about how it's been profoundly helpful for all, and we've been pioneering these processes at Eden Fractal. And I wrote a bit more because I applied at Gitcoin last time for his Gitcoin meta crisis round. So building up connections there. I had previously reached out to him, and he got back to me a week ago. So continuing to follow up, and then shared more about OpenAI. And then on one related note too, I also had a meeting with Tadas this weekend, and we talked quite a bit about an idea I have called the Telos sessions. This is an idea related to what you're talking, Lisa, about the mission. I have a couple of different topics I proposed. Tadas shared with me the idea of teleology, which is really interesting. And I'm thinking about proposing a topic or like a 3-week event or something like that. That's kind of similar to Go Fractally, bringing together 500 people to help define AI. But this is for Telos, and not just the blockchain Telos, but the meaning of Telos is the ultimate purpose. That's where technology comes from and stuff like that. So I think this could be a great way to show the power of our process and get people together. I'll share more about that later, but I just figured I'd give a little bit of a overview here because there's a lot of exciting ideas there, and I think it could go very well with what Psinq is doing. I also updated an article and made a little bit of artwork for Firmament. I did this partially because I was helping Rosmari prepare for the EOS Fireside Chat and reached out to Stefan and talked about how Aquadac is using Fractalgram tools. So I gave a little update for Fractalgram. I started producing a video that Eric had cut recently. So I made a couple updates to the Fractalgram articles and Firmament articles I've been meaning to add. There's more details there, but mostly I just made the pictures and then added a bit of text from the tools articles and cleaned it up with some related links. So I'm curious to hear what you think about that, Tadas, and thanks so much for the great work. Happy to bring in that feedback. I also, after Duane had suggested that the link was broken because the Mighty Network went down because Joshua, I think, stopped paying for it. I created these Luma link event pages like Rosmari was saying, and I wrote a little bit about how we're taking part in the greatest story ever as we create profound benefits for communities, and again, providing a little bit of text to pique people's interest and show, because I really do think that we're creating an amazing story. I was speaking with Rosmari the other day and she's saying like it's one of the greatest stories, and I totally agree. Like we're on a community story. I also did a similar thing for Eden Town Hall event page as she showed, and then worked with her on that promotional message, and then I also gave some feedback on the community stories website. Huge thanks to Rosmari for all the amazing work you've been doing. It's been a huge pleasure working with you this week. Also, along with that, organized a little bit of a website for Fractal Apple to curate our work with that. I've been playing with Rosmari doing another Fractal episode and tell her story more. And so I curated the recent episodes. I rewatched this a bit. Fractal episode 3, Tell Public Goods, and the second one and so forth. Kind of similar to how Rosmari made a page for community stories, doing this for the Fractal Apple and using some of the text that we wrote from Pomelo and stuff like that to get a better brand together. And also this is a picture from the artwork that Joe made, which is super cool. He also made a video. Hope you don't mind me putting it there, Joe. I sent you a message about that, I think. But I think it's amazing and super cool. So wanted to show that to the world. Also been working a little bit with Rosmari on refining show notes for 53rd and 54th meetings. I presented this a little bit at the meeting in the Alien Worlds Fractal meeting, but we wrote a pretty detailed article about our collaborations with Alien Worlds and the Alien Worlds Fractal or Fractalian Worlds that recently started. And big credit of Rosmari wrote a lot of that, and we wrote a lot of it together. And I've been doing a lot of research into Mighty Networks, which is where the NDAO network is currently residing, and Go Fractally. I'm planning to build courses and stuff like that. And so I've been planning that out. Thanks, Lisa, for all the encouragement and ideas about certifications. I think this is a great platform we can do it at. I also participated in the Aquadac meeting and I'm helping out there, played a song together there. And I've also been engaging with the Eden on EOS community, planning some fractal proposals, and going to be speaking about how we can empower the Eden on EOS community with these fractal tools in these meetings, following on last week's meeting. And this was 99% Rosmari putting this together, this thumbnail and stuff, and editing the video, but I just gave a little bit of feedback here and there to help guide it and so forth. And then lastly, I also put together this article for the Future of Cagendas in this top proposal, where I've been working over the past week on organizing upcoming topics so that we're not just having topics that right before the event, but lots of topics that we can have in a database. Eventually we can vote with Cignals on topics and use Vlad's new tool and stuff like that. I'll talk a bit more about that today in the breakout room. And then I've also been working with Vlad on deploying the Eden Fractal software on the Eden creators account to give out creator respect and other stuff like that too. Anyway, I think that's all I have here, and I will stop my presentation. And first, I'll just put up a little bit of a nicer screen to end it, and I'll stop it here. Hope you all enjoyed. What's up, Marco?
I saw that post from the Sybase team.
Yep.
I found it interesting that it came in response, or came right after the XRP decision, where it was not executed.
Well, yeah, that is an interesting decision. I think what Fractally Psinq is doing now, it's they're kind of distancing themselves from like I guess any potential liability they see with public blockchains and stuff like that, and they're focusing more so on just the nonprofit coordination side of it. But perhaps that's related, and that is good news for the industry as a whole, I think.
Yeah, no, I looked over it. I saw it. Just the coinciding with the XRP tells me, I don't know, either luck or they have a big vision for it. But no, I saw that it's nonprofit.
Yep. Well, yeah. Sounds good. And I just read your message, Marco, about Dan Larimer's original vision, 1,000 people in a single fractal, and how, yeah, for sure we do want to grow. So those are great points. Recommend people to see it. And thanks for sharing your thoughts about Psinq too. Looking forward to more discussions. And also I see Tadas engaging. I do think that while it was originally envisioned for 1,000 people, I think it works really well actually in groups of 10 or 15 or 20 and 5 and so forth. I think it works well at all sizes, really, but for sure we want to grow it too.
It's the onboarding that you get. It's hard to imagine breaking through if you're new. You get that initial respect, but when you're getting into a new group, a new team or whatever, it's hard to break through when you have these clearly defined lines. These are already lines built in that are either subconscious or you just get in the interaction. So when you also have these, it's another barrier. The ranking is meant for organization. It's not an inviting ranking. It's a competitive ranking. So you're adding another barrier to onboard by having these disparities. I don't come from local communities that depend on each other. I come from a place where there's so many different cultures and things. It's about, you get so many different experiences. And the things that are hardest to join are the things that are last for people to join, unless you have a lot of incentive. But this is a barrier to entry, and why have it if you need it if it's not, it's a tool that's not meant for it. I mean, I dare anybody to find in the book, or even ask Dan Larimer if he would have come up with the idea if there was only going to be 20 people around. I'm not saying we can't use it, I'm just saying that's what it is.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for the thoughts, Marco. We only do have about 15 minutes left to come to consensus, though we haven't done that or asked questions. So let's go back to this. I see Tadas asked, is a problem if respect doesn't go outside the community, like non-transfer respect does now, but how about we save this conversation for text, or we can propose it for after the breakout rooms. And now if anybody has any questions about for anybody or comments about everybody's work and contributions, then we can allocate the next few minutes or 5 minutes for that or so. And then we'll have enough time to reach consensus with Fractalgram with 15 minutes remaining. I will read a comment from Lisa. Will you read your articles on YouTube? I'm not sure what you're referring there to, Lisa, if that's addressed to me or Marco or to Das or whoever else. So if you want to clarify that, Lisa, then I appreciate it. You said you might.
I love all the articles you and Rosmari are doing and everything. However, chatting so much, I have a hard time reading. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a real issue for a lot of us, but we have YouTube on. So I could hear every single one of your articles on YouTube sooner than I could read them all, or even read a few of them. And it is a way for you to earn, monetizing it on YouTube if you're interested, and getting a larger audience. I also know of some smart contracts that will be available. You can add in the description of the YouTube video that allow people to get NFTs and use them for various things. So it's something to consider for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the suggestion and all that, like integrating with the NFTs and stuff. That would be great. Also, like badges and stuff. That's something that I was discussing a lot with Rosmari this weekend about, like, when you're talking about like tutorials and certifications. Like, the first step is to write it down, basically. And for people who have time to read it, that's excellent. But I know I also don't have time to read a lot of stuff, and I want to read so much. So for one thing, we could perhaps use AI to like do summaries like that with audio, but then also I think once we have those pages together, then we can also go through them and do the video while we're doing it. So I have that for some of the videos, like for example, on the dams page, I went through it, but there's a lot more we have to do there, and I will work towards doing that in the coming weeks and months. And I hope that you enjoy watching those videos when they're there. And I'd also love to see other videos in that same kind of format for everybody, from everybody. I think that's a great idea. I see Tadas, and thanks for inviting Dan to the unconference. I'm assuming you mean Dan Larimer, but yeah, that'd be awesome if he can join, and I'll also be there too. And if that is addressed to me, then I appreciate the invite, but of course I'll be there. But does anybody have any other questions or comments for anybody in the group before we go into the into consensus? You meant Dan Larimer? Okay, cool.
Yes, and I encourage everyone to invite him, not just me. That's why I'm saying he might see other people's messages before mine. So just in case, let's all ask him. I think it'd be great to catch up with him, hear what he's doing, hear some of his thinking about Fractal, about all of the projects he's done in the past, as well as his latest nonprofit. So hopefully he'll take us up on it. He's been involved in Dacathon before, I think, so we'll see. But everyone asks if you want him there.
Okay, cool. Well, awesome. I really hope it'd be awesome if we can get Dan in there. And it looks like he's gone more public now. They were very quiet for a long time, but now with Psinq, it looks like they're aiming to make a big splash and get 500 people in a meeting, which is awesome and amazing. And so perhaps the unconference could be a great way to network and help him get the message out, as well as collaborate with all sorts of great ideas that I'm sure he has.
Where did you see the meeting?
The meeting that they're proposing is, I shared it briefly on my screen. If you go to the Substack for Psinq, which I will share in the Zoom chat right now, then if you scroll down a bit, they have a plan where they talk about how they're aiming to get 500 people and do a meeting in July or August or September to run an experiment to help design the future of AI, basically. Yeah, you can see the Substack and the link there. It's quite a long article. It takes like 50 minutes to read, but if you want to scroll through, and it's in the middle, that section about it. And that's at psinqup.substack.com for anybody watching on the video, or if you go to Psinq, spelled Psinq.com, then you can find it from there. Does anybody have any other questions or comments for anybody before we go into consensus and Fractalgram? If not, then that's cool. Or feel free to jump in with something that comes to mind. So far, me, Tadas, and Marco have entered our EOSCons in response to the messages, but Marco, yours isn't a response to the message. So if you could please make sure that's respond to Tadas' original message. And then we need Joe and Lisa and Rosmari to also respond to that as well to make Fractalgram work correctly. Thank you, Marco. And thank you, Rosmari and Lisa.
Be inviting them. I posted a comment on their post to invite them.
On what post? On the Psinq post, you mean?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Psinq, is that how you pronounce it?
Yep,
Okay,
Psinq.
got
It's
it.
like getting in sync with the world. With the world. Yeah. So I'm very excited about Psinq. I think it's a great name too.
Well, now that I know, yeah, it's great.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the poll is up right now. And so far there have been 4 people voted. We haven't got a vote from Joe or Marco, I think. Okay, got a vote from Joe. And it looks like it's split. There's 3 votes from me, from Joe, Rosmari, and Tadas, and there's 3 votes for Rosmari, from Marco, Lisa, and myself. Would anybody like to share their thoughts?
Yeah, you both look like you did a lot of work and documented it. But you know, Rosemary's newer, so I'm gonna give the edge this time. I haven't seen a presentation like that for her, I don't think. So the new took the scale.
Sounds great. Yeah, thank you, Marco. I also agree. Makes sense. What was that, Lisa?
I want to hear from Rosmari. See, the problem is you guys do so much stuff together. What do you expect? You're gonna split the respect. I mean, we can go by whose presentation was longer, but I kind of want to hear from you guys who you think deserves it this week specifically. You guys probably know better than we do, I think.
Sure. Well, thanks, Lisa. I can go first. I see Tadas is unmuted too. If you want to share your thoughts before Tadas, we'd be happy to hear from you. Or
no, don't have much to share. I switched my vote to Rosmari. I was split too between you and Rosmari, but yeah, I don't know. This week Rosmari seemed to have done a lot, maybe more than previous times even. Well, at least it was a long presentation.
Really, that's what I said. We can go by the presentation. I have a feeling she really did do a lot, but she might have some thoughts.
Yeah, she's done a huge amount. Good to see you in the firmament. That's, by the way, we have a nice theme going on here. And glad to hear that we're glad to see your camera working. But anyway, yeah, I'm very happy with that. I voted for Rosmari as well because I can attest to it. I've been working very closely with her, and she's been doing a huge amount of work. And also several of the initiatives, like she's just been going on her own and doing all sorts of amazing stuff. Like that presentation was awesome, and I love to see that. I think that was maybe that was an excellent presentation, so that deserves a lot of respect. And then also the fireside stuff that you proposed and suggested, in addition to everything else. So very happy with that. Thank you very much, Rosmari.
Well, thank you, Dan, and thanks everyone for the support. Seems like the presentation is the way to go.
Yeah, I can see Dan's touch in your presentation. You have a good teacher.
Well, she just did that on her own. I didn't talk with her about that. She just went for it. I mean, we worked on a lot of the other stuff, but
you just need to observe to learn.
Yeah, and she's done amazing work throughout the week, so she had a lot to share. And I do think that, by the way, like we're talking about growing, like imagine if we gave more great presentations like that, and then we can cut clips for it and stuff like that. Like I think that's a great way to spread the word about what we're doing. That right there could be cut into a 5-minute clip and spread, and then people are like, oh, wow, Rosemary's doing so much. So more than just us 5 can see it.
We can promote our work further.
Okay, now let's vote for level 5.
Yeah, we have 6 minutes left, and so far there's 4 votes in, and 2 people, Rosmari and Joe, have not yet voted.
I see 5 votes. Dan has 4.
Yeah, it looks like I have 4 votes, and Lisa has 2 votes. So I'll just accept this in the interest of time. I did vote for Lisa, and if anybody did want to switch the votes, I think that the Starship plans is really exciting, but I don't know that much about it yet, and I'm happy to accept that. So thank you very much for that.
I see.
What was that, Lisa? You said I see?
I'm talking to myself, sorry.
Okay.
Well, level 4 went really fast.
Level 4, there was 5 votes for Lisa right away.
Consensus.
Yeah, Lisa voted for Tadas, but everybody else voted for Lisa, so Lisa got level 4.
I tend to get overruled a lot. Better here than Eyeke.
Overruled? Yeah. Well, when you do great work and you vote for somebody else, then people tend to want to vote for you. I think that could be a huge partnership. And all the fractal inquiries you're doing are amazing, Lisa. So thank you so much for all that. Or the fractal inquiries you're like arranging and outreaching for. Your audio is breaking up a little bit for me right now. I do not hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you either.
It sounds like Lisa has turned into a robot. All right. And then for level 3, it looks like Tadas has consensus. 4 out of 5 votes there. Thank you, Tadas. And then on level 2, we have 4 votes so far. And we're seeing votes from Lisa and Joe. And Lisa's still not saying anything, laughing, crying face. So sounds good. And then level 2, we still have to reach this consensus of a delegate too, by the way. We have about 3 minutes, so we should be pretty quick here. Your internet is cutting out.
She said Marco.
Lisa? Marco.
Cutting she voted. She voted. Oh, it's okay. A split one.
Oh, so she voted for Marco, so it's a split vote. Marco has 3 votes from Lisa, Joe, and Tadas, and Joe has 3 votes from myself, Rosmari, and Marco. Would anybody like to advocate either way or share their thoughts about who they think should be level 2?
I vote for Joe because of the Fractal Apple videos and designs. They're super cool. And yeah, actually, I should have shared it, but maybe another time.
I shared it.
Oh,
I got your
okay.
back. Well, I shared one picture actually. Joe also made a really cool video and several other pictures I didn't share, but I shared one when I put it on the Fractal Apple. I think I shared it briefly there. And it looks like somebody switched their vote to Joe, and so now Joe has 4 votes. So Joe is level 2, Marco is 1. Everybody's getting great respect for doing great work. Thank you very much, Joe and Marco. Really appreciate it, as well as everybody else. And we have a couple minutes left to reach consensus about delegates. I can open up the delegate spreadsheet right now, and maybe I'll share it in the Telegram live chat as well.
Yes, so I checked. Me, Dan, and Rosmari are currently delegates. Marco, Lisa, and Joe are not.
And it looks like my term is ending after this week, and Rosmari and Tadas' term is ending in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So I'll put myself up for a vote. If Marco or Lisa are interested in being delegate, or Joe, then interested to hear as well. But I'd also like to be elected as a delegate again this week or soon. I see Lisa voted for me in the Zoom chat, looks like.
Marco, would you run for a delegate?
Not yet. I'm still gliding on the rules for doing that kind of power on flight. So,
And
Okay.
Lisa?
Lisa was having internet issues, but she said Dan in the chat.
Have Dan. I'd rather have Dan.
I vote for Dan too.
Okay, sounds good. I suppose I'll vote for myself then. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you're enjoying the glide, Marco. It was great hearing from you at Aquadac too. I really appreciate your participation there, and all the ideas you've been sharing about, as well as your goals to glide.
if you want it better, it's Tai Chi philosophy. You went down and said that rich people do yoga, and people who always work and do Tai Chi because you do it in a suit. It's harder to do yoga in a suit, and I know we have a few shows where that actually happens. Tai Chi is meant to be standing so you can get some movement that's productive, healthy, while you're still working. And I come from the 80s and New York rush hour traffic when I was a kid, and I saw that. You don't have any time. You have to get up at 5, and you're getting back on rush hour traffic at 9. If that's how you live, that was before the internet. Anyway, that's what I mean by glide, to be more careful.
Sounds good. It was getting a little bit difficult to hear you, but I think I heard most of it. And thank you for further elaborating on glide and also the analogies with Tai Chi and yoga, two great practices that I love to do myself and great to think about. Also, I just hit the button to close the breaking room, so they'll close in 30 seconds about, and we'll go back to the community room. But I just want to say thanks once again, everybody, because it's been a really inspiring room, and I really appreciate what everybody's doing here. Really fun time.
Yeah, and don't forget to submit your consensus results.
Yep, good point. Thanks. I have forgotten recently a couple times.
Hey, the election has ended before it begun.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Vlad's not here, and so it looks like he did not open up the election. We have to run an action in the Eden Fractal software on the Eden Fractal account to open up the election. So I got
Vlad that can start an election.
No, I can do it as well, and then there might be one other person on there.
Is there some reason we don't have it started at the same hour every week?
The software that Vlad is building in the next version, and he currently is working on a ENF grant to fund his development on this. He's working on it for quite a while with Matthias's team, but it's not available yet. That software has it automated on the blockchain with timing, so anybody can call it, and it happens each time, each week, anybody can call it at the same time. But currently, we're working with some legacy software. That's how James Marta originally designed it when he designed the Eden Fractal software. And basically somebody needs to manually call it, and there's a set amount of admins that James picked in the beginning. And it was like me, Vlad, and I think Chuck or somebody, but Chuck hasn't been here in a while. So that's something we should definitely improve soon. But for now, I can just do it manually.
Go ahead and push again, or is it too early?
It is not ready yet. I'll take a moment to do it. It might take me just a minute to get it all set up. If anybody wants to share their experience with their breakout rooms or anything else on their mind, we're going to get into the topic on the agenda shortly, but it'll just take me a minute to approve this. And I see Perry looks inspired with the Riot Society. So Perry?
I know you can, your mind can multi-thread, so I'm going to talk while you figure that out.
Sounds good.
The experience that I had, and I think others in my group, to using the Fractalgram web app was that it brought up a message in Telegram, essentially saying that this app is requesting access to your Telegram app, which is kind of similar to where when you sign up for an app that accesses your Gmail or some other Google service, it asks for permission to do so, and then it goes through that process. For me, that's a little scary, I'll be honest. I'm essentially giving Tadas access to my Telegram account. Yikes.
I see Tadas is shaking his head now. He's
Is
shaking his
that
head
right?
no.
No? What's going on with that?
No, it's the same like if you like downloaded Telegram app to a new phone and you wanted to log into the same Telegram app on a new phone, you would have to enter your phone number and then confirm on your old phone. So basically this works the same way. The only server that this Fractalgram app is communicating with is the Telegram server. It's just a Telegram client, just another Telegram client.
You know that, but Perry and somebody else who sees this for the same time might see it and get scared. So it would be better if we could avoid having that message.
What specific message are you talking about? I think it's just when you're logging in that it's.
When I took a picture of the QR code, it came up with a warning message on my phone, and it was warning me that this is going to allow access to my Telegram account. And when that happens in Google, I believe in Google Play, I think you normally in Apple, you get like a list of rights, specifically what's going on, what it has rights to, and then like a declaration that it doesn't have rights to anything else. And it's pretty clear. And so in our mind, we're saying, do we trust Google when they tell us that? Because the message is coming from Google. It wasn't clear who it was coming from, who the message was coming from. It didn't say at the top who it's coming from. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm giving Tadas rights to my Telegram account. And I love you, Tadas, but not that much.
Well, that's, as I understood, that message is coming from Telegram on Telegram app, where there's not much I can do about it. And it's just Telegram being careful. Like, theoretically, someone could make a Telegram app that actually communicates with some extra server, for example. So in a way, you do have to trust that Fractalgram code, but that Fractalgram code is just, it's executing just in your browser environment. There is no server-side component to Fractalgram. You still have to kind of trust it, like you have to trust any website a website or app which you install on your phone or desktop.
I guess the difference is that the institution of Telegram isn't telling me that. You're telling me that, but the institution of Telegram, who is supposedly the arbiter of all of this, they're not telling us that. You're telling us that. So that, that's hard. That's rough.
And it's going to be a barrier for acceptance when people see that warning and decide not to go ahead and use Telegram. So I think that the important thing would be to make sure that when the message comes up, it makes it clear exactly what privileges it was requesting and what people are approving. And if they approve it, well, I allow this code, this thing to do this on my phone for the next 15 minutes. That's very different from allowing every time you use Telegram to now use Fractalgram instead.
All right.
So we need to just make clear that that's not what you're asking for.
Thanks for the feedback, Noam and Perry, and also Das. I don't know if Sash, you want to quickly respond to anything like that. I do want to give an update that I did approve the transaction or hit the action to start the election, and I was able to submit my my consensus from my room. So I encourage everybody to please submit your consensus now. That window will be open for 2 hours, so do it now or sometime else in the meeting. I see Space Ringo Joe and Duane have their hands up. So we'll pass it to Space Ringo Joe and then Duane, and then we're a little bit delayed due to the technical issues and stuff like that. But appreciate Perry bringing it up, but a little bit delayed from the topic on the agenda rather. So after Space Ringo Joe and Duane share their thoughts, then we can pass it back to see if Tadas has any more last thoughts, or Perry, just to close up this topic, and then we can move on to the topic on the agenda and the Cagendas game as scheduled. Joe, I see you load your hand. I also welcome Jorge and welcome Eric. Great to see you both. Hope you're doing well. Joe, is something you still want to add here?
You know what? I can't remember what I raised my hand for. It was pertinent to whatever somebody was saying at the time. But in the interim, a few things have happened. But I did want to mention to Noam, I know he's having problems with the consensus. I haven't been able to do it on mobile for the past, I don't know, a few meetings or whatever. And I just kept trying, whatever, but I was on the road and I'm able to get to my desktop. Today I was home, no problem. I tried on my phone like 10 times, nothing's working. It's bringing me to Unicove, Wombat. It says launch anchor, but then it takes me to Wombat. So I don't know what's going on with the mobile version of that thing, but there's some issues, at least on my end. So I just wanted to bring that to whoever attention it needed to be brought to.
It's probably Tadas.
All right. Well, thank you for bringing up that feedback. Of course, Tadas, if you want to jump in with any comments, then feel free. And I see Duane has his hands up now. So yeah, thanks for the comment, yeah. Joe. Pass on to Duane now.
Keep it really short. Just the Fractalgram app coming up with the Telegram warning is should be a non-issue. It's going to be the person that is starting that room. So for a normal user to scare them away, there won't be any scaring away of anybody, because it's, there'll be people here that have already gone through the procedure, know what it's asking, and no one will ask you to initiate that if you didn't want to. So I think there's enough people here to kind of initiate that. So.
But we're talking about new groups, bringing on new groups.
But yeah, you're not. But yeah, it's going to be. We can kind of go over that and just put a little information on, showing that's kind of. But yeah, we can explain it better. But for these new groups, we can get over it. It's not going to cause any friction.
It's not urgent for our group right now because we've got it working, and we can even do it manually like we did in our room this time. Because we know the Fractalgram process. But if all the groups that Lisa wants to bring in want to start having their own people running Fractalgram, then what Perry said will become an issue, and we might as well start, fix the wording right now. So
we can't. I guess all I'm saying it's not from us. Like there's nobody here that works that I know of on our group that works for Telegram. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not an us thing. I guess is what I'm saying. So we can explain it a little bit better later. of like what that prompt is actually doing, but it has nothing to do with us. It's not in our control to change that. It's kind of the same warning that would pop up when you're like trying to take your Telegram and use that same thing on your phone with the QR code. So it's a little bit different, but yeah, we could explain it for the people that are initiating a room, so they feel confident that it's just what it's doing.
The instructions should alleviate people's concerns.
No,
So
they should.
That's
right.
what I'm suggesting.
I don't think it's an immediate concern. It's worth noting, and we're planning on for maybe version kind of 2 or 1.2. Yeah.
All right, sounds great. Well, yeah, thanks for all the constructive feedback and ideas about how to improve the flow for Fractalgram for everybody to join. I'll also remind everybody to, in general, if you want to jump with a comment, then that's cool to do. We're a small group. We're all great friends here, but we can have a more orderly meeting when we do raise our hands many times. There's a couple times, Noam, that you jumped in there, and a couple people raising their hands. So not a big deal at all, and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. But in the future, we can probably cooperate a bit better when we give each other a chance to fully speak and go with the hand raising format and so forth. If anybody has any last comments about that, then feel free to raise your hands, or hope that helped clarify your concerns there, Perry, and looking forward to the next steps there. And I can also share my presentation. I have a couple thoughts about this that I can share to kind of round off this discussion, at least for now, and we continue the discussion in the Telegram groups as always, in addition. So it doesn't look like anybody say anything. If you do, then feel free to jump in right now, but otherwise I'll share my screen and talk a little bit about Fractalgram and then mostly introduce the next topic, and I'll just jump right into the topic as well with this main presentation here, and curious to hear everybody's thoughts. So welcome back, everybody. Once again, encourage you all to submit the transactions if you haven't done yet. That is now, the action is now enabled for start elections, so you can do that. And we're going to be going into our Cagendas game. We're about 10-15 minutes late or so because we had some technical stuff going on, but great discussions. And you can learn more about Eden Fractal, of course, at the website. Just to round it off, I did make an update because Eric, shout out to Eric, who edited the video. So I have an article, kind of a draft article, curating resources about Fractalgram, where I wrote an introduction to Fractalgram from a meeting, or from the edencreators.com/tools article, where you can learn about it. For anybody who's watching this and like, what is Fractalgram? Then here's a bunch of resources about it. You can watch the blog post that Tadas did to learn more. And then Eric, he put together a great resource on the Center for Governance website that he's been building. And he asked me about whether there's a video tutorial, and Tadas already gave a tutorial back in, I think, the 35th or 36th Eden Fractal meeting, 36, which is featured here, and there's a bit written about it. But Eric did post a video in the Eyeke Community Council chat, and to, I think, Noam's point and Marco's point and Duane's point and several other points, like one of the things is we can curate these resources better so that we can answer questions, so that other people can use Fractalgram and understand it. Right now, this article could use a lot of work, just kind of for early draft, but shout out to Eric. We could have this all explained in tutorial so people understand exactly what permissions that they're sharing and how it works and stuff like that. And want to once again give a huge thanks and congrats to Das. Das's work with Fractalgram has been super helpful in general, and it's an awesome app. Certainly still an early project that I hope that will develop much further, so it's much smoother, but already it's awesome. And thanks and shout out to Eric for bringing this up, and Perry and Noam and Duane and everyone for sharing their thoughts here. Now we'll go into the Cagendas game, which is a social coordination game that helps communities create agendas, choose discussion topics, and make decisions together. This is on the edenfractal.com/welcome site that I'm still putting together. And the topic of the meeting today of the Cagendas game is the future of Cagendas. So there's actually two topics that have been proposed on Consortium this week. As always, anybody can propose a topic on Consortium. So if you go scroll down a little bit, there's a section that I'm still working on and aiming to write more clearly soon, but there's a little section about how everyone can play Cagendas by joining us here in the hour after the breakout room at Eden Fractal, and any community can play Cagendas in their own meetings as well. We're playing a form of Cagendas or type of Cagendas called the propaganda game that Vlad proposed in the Alien Worlds Fractal, and we could have lots of different variations. But basically the way it works is anybody can pose a topic on the Eden Consortium. which you can find the link here, in the week before the meeting. And then the topic can be anything on your mind. It can be a proposal for the community or just a theme for discussion. And whichever community that the community, or whichever topic that the community votes for with the most votes over the prior week, will be the discussion topic. So we've discussed this a lot in previous weeks. I think everybody here is pretty familiar, but you can check out the Eden Consortium to see lots of polls here that we've proposed over the past weeks, for example, from meeting 48 and meeting 56. And I think this was meeting 54 and so forth. So lots of topics here, and I'm going to provide a little bit of an overview. So as I wrote in the description here for the topic for the Future of Cagendas, I wrote a little bit more about what Cagendas is. It's also a way to optimize meetings and make decisions together. And I wrote about how any community can play Cagendas to create amazing experience and also direct exciting shows. Like we're making shows together. So it's a way for people to be like the director in a way, or at least helping a director and guide the conversation. And I really appreciate, for example, Duane made a proposal about Eden on EOS last week, and Perry's made proposals about D-News a few times, and Marco's made proposals about Eden on EOS and stuff like that. Lisa. So it's been great seeing all the topics that people have proposed. I'm just looking at most of the people here have proposed a topic at some point or another, and if you haven't already, then I encourage you to do so at some point soon. If not, that's cool. Welcome to just listen and watch. But I think that this Cagendas is a really exciting way to grow our community, and it's a really empowering tool for many communities. So I wanted to focus on it a little bit. I could provide a little bit of a history of Cagendas, an overview of our current development progress for Cagendas, and plans to grow the communities in the next versions of the game, and then also touch upon how this can be a really empowering tool for communities, especially when it's played along our other games like the Eden plus Fractal and the Cignals app we're building, and all sorts of different games we have also with Alien Worlds and stuff like that. So I have a little website here. There's also topic 2 that Lisa had proposed, and so perhaps if we have time, I don't know if Lisa, we discussed it a little bit, so I think Lisa was mostly proposing this as a poll, but Lisa did propose this right after the meeting last week about should Eden Fractal be welcoming of the Eden member communities, and this kind of goes along, I think, with the topic that Duane proposed last week about collaborations at Eden on EOS, helping Eden on EOS form fractals or joining the meeting and so forth. So far Lisa voted yes. We can discuss this afterwards. It had less votes, as you can see, than the Future of Cagendas. Actually, I proposed this topic twice and I opened up the wrong one, so I voted for it, but it's somewhere here if you went, and this one thing I want to talk about, that it's a little bit disorganized right now, because our original plan with Cagendas was to delete the topics as they went, and Vlad said he'd do that, but then at some point he stopped doing it around like the 45th week, and really it just kind of limited, because right now there's no way to sort like by date. Consortium sorts by the most votes, so this one had 6,000 Eden voting, and this one had 5,000 and 5,000 and 4,000 and so forth, so it sorts it that way. But there's a lot of improvements we'd like to make. So one is like the ability to archive. What's up, Perry?
Help me, Dan. You're speed scrolling.
Am I scrolling too fast? Okay.
Speed scrolling, help me.
Thank you, Barry, for the feedback. I will remember to be smoother with the scrolling, so I'm not going fast. I appreciate you jumping in and letting us know so I can provide a better visual experience for everybody. Yeah, feel free to jump in with any other comments like that. I know I have kind of a lot to share here, or if anyone wants to raise their hands and ask a question or comment in the middle, then we'd be happy to hear from you. But yeah, basically, wanted to share a little bit about the current development. Well, first I can go back, or first I'll finish this point. So Consortium is lacking a couple features, so it's a little bit messy right now. It can be difficult to find. If you do want to find a specific topic, you can always do like a Control F or Command F and search for, we usually prefix it with like T49 or 58 or whatever. So if you wanted to find a discussion from, say, the 54th meeting, you could search for 54 and then search around, or you could just search for it. But it is kind of messy, and so this is definitely something we should improve, because well, one of the things that Vlad's planning to build is a way to make it easier to sort and stuff. Consortium is not a complete part of it either, but I want to just put that out there, as well as some other feedback and constructive criticism we can use to improve, but I'll get to that in a moment. First, I put together this page at edencreators.com/59, which has this proposal, as well as a link to, for some reason I wrote more great point here. I don't know why I wrote that. I meant to write like more ideas about this and like that. I put together fairly quickly, as well as some links to our work about Notion and our previous articles and previous work on Cagendas, and also Vlalendas, which is the version of the game of Cagendas that we play here, that we designed to help communities create agendas. And then there's also another article that I'd written probably about 6 months ago about agendas. A lot of this work that we did into designing Cagendas, we did around like week 28 or so of Eden Fractal, so about 6 months ago or half a year ago. But you can go to edencreators.com/59 and click these articles if you'd like to see the history of what we've done together with Cagendas, and I'll just provide a brief overview. This Cagendas article here shows there's table of contents where you can see how to play and what do we need and so forth. Lots of historical resources, and these can certainly be organize better. I'm looking for ways to organize them better, but there's details here about how we can play. And one of the things I want to do is help get the word out more about how to play, and we can use it as a promotional tool and get the word out more. So there's lots of things we can do to improve these and improve how we share it, just like how we're improving how to play Fractalgram. And there's also these articles here about agendas. People don't need to go back in these, obviously. I just want to provide a bit of history for anybody who wasn't here in the beginning, but we did a lot of work back around then. Like this was a theme of discussion for probably about 2 or 3 months, where we had brainstorming sessions hosted by Patrick, and I was writing a bunch of articles, and several people, there was like 6 different proposals for how to come to consensus about agenda, from Vlad and Tadas and myself and Lenny and Dan and Felix and Jesse. Dan is myself. And then there was all sorts of recommendations I wrote and stuff like that. We have lots of cool art and lots of great ideas here. So at some point we can go and curate this better to tell the story of it. And we do have lots of great videos from Eden Fractal meetings as we were designing this. So I just want to provide a bit of context. And eventually what we ended up doing was combining many of the best elements we had at the time into Vlalendas, which was a portmanteau, a combination of Vlad, Lenny, and Tadas, and Cagendas. And so we proposed this. We have some additional artwork, and that shows how we play the game, as I explained before, where people can make proposals on Consortium, and then anybody can vote on topics and so forth. But as I said before, that has a couple problems. One of them is that it's kind of messy and kind of sloppy, and so there's some improvements there. And then the other is that, well, in general, like sometimes people have made great proposals, and sometimes I've been making proposals just like maybe a day before the event, or sometimes like an hour before the event, or 20 minutes before, or 5 minutes before the event. And there's been some feedback. So, for example, Pascal, right, a few months ago, he made let's make topics for discussion for votes to be introduced 1 week before consensus meetings, so people have more time to absorb things. Patrick's also shared similar feedback too. And I think in general, one of the things I've been talking with Rosmari is we could use this to promote better. Like earlier in the week, we could say to the EOS community and the Eden on EOS community and different communities, like, hey, these are topics we're thinking of promoting. Here's how you can make a topic really easily, make it really easy to propose and so forth. And we could have it where there's more promotion around the topic going forward. So there's opportunities for improvement to make it simpler and also attract more people. Once again, I'm speaking for a while, so if anybody wants to raise their hand, share some thoughts, feel free. But I'm probably at halfway through this presentation, so I'll probably take about 5 more minutes to just share. So far I've shared where it's at so far and some things that we can improve with it. It has also been an amazing process in many ways. It's helped us, basically, I was saying before how it's helped us like direct the meeting. Rosmari made a really interesting point yesterday that I never thought of before in quite this way, but like we've talked a lot about how this is like a collaborative video creation process, how we're creating videos together. And one of the things I wrote on the Luma event is like, this is like the greatest story, or one of the greatest stories ever told, because like we're making amazing stories together, all these amazing people together over the past year and longer. And you can watch all our video. We're up in your game with better videos and thumbnails and timestamp and so forth. This one is kind of still in development. We put it out real quick so people can see it. And you can see in the 57th week, we talked about all these ways we can use these processes to help create the future of human collaboration and help creators do all these amazing things. And so these are all topics that people proposed. And everybody who proposes a topic, like Duane proposed Eden on EOS collaboration topic, and that becomes like our theme for the story. So it's like a really powerful way for communities to like people can be directors of a movie kind of in a way. So it's really fascinating, really interesting how we can grow with this. And I wanted to bring a little bit of a spotlight on both the deficiencies and things that we can improve, and the history of where it came from, and then all the potential. Like it's provided so many great, amazing experiences and interesting collaborations and so forth. So put idea about the potential, and you can imagine when we get more organized how we can use this to spread the word and make amazing stories together. And then with that being said, I want to give a little bit of an overview about some plans I have to improve in the short term and the medium term for Cagendas. And I'm very interested to hear comments and feedback about this. Very interested to hear from the community and work together to improve it. So for one thing that I'm doing, I'm working with Notion. We talked about Notion a lot. There's a site, edencreators.com/Notion, where there's some articles that I've written after the 39th and 43rd meeting, where Rosmari had first proposed a topic about using Notion more to help communities cooperate. And then there's a little story here. And then there's also notion.so. If people haven't gone there, you can check out the full website to learn more. And then we discussed it again in week 43. And I also discussed a little bit in week 57 too. And there's this new feature for Notion projects, which is really powerful. I've been working with Rosmari to organize basically all of our work here, and it's really powerful, really helpful. And one of the things I've been working on doing is creating a database of topics. So these are some topics that I've had on my mind lately, as well as I have Lisa's topic here that I just curated briefly. And these are all like, you could open it up in this side view, so you can have some of the notes that I had for this meeting, for example. I kind of just put it together quickly about different things that we can do. So that's kind of the agenda that's on my mind right now that I'm running through. And then there's other topics that I've been thinking of proposing, like roadmap for Eden Fractal, or talking about how to grow fractally, or I just shared an idea about Telos sessions to help us come to consensus about our mission. Telos means the ultimate purpose, so I have some exciting ideas about there. Thinking about doing a topic with Pascal for EOS punks for a long time because he made a great initiative. But these are just some topics. I've written a lot of other ones, and I'm planning to organize better the topics I have in my mind so I can propose them earlier and have it where people can see them in Notion so I can share this. And then also we can use tools like Typeform and Google Documents to make it like you can sync it up with Notion basically, so anybody can propose a topic there. So we have it on the agenda. Of course, anybody can propose on Consortium directly, but this can be a way to have it where it's not just in that kind of disorganized list. Sorry for skipping around windows, I got a bit lost there. But anybody could make a type form basically so they can get it on a list like this. Over time, we can decentralize it more. And of course, Consortium can be the main place, but this can be a way to organize it as well. And one of the things I want to do here, well, there's two different other improvements. So this can be a medium term improvement where I can share this and anybody can make a topic. And I'll also do that and we can promote it earlier. But then the second improvement too, in addition to just using Notion and using like the type form in Notion, there's two different things. So one, Vlad, as I mentioned before, he's been working on an app with Matthias and Lenar and the Zeos team to build out the Consortium features and build a much more functional interface. So you can read this in edencreators.com/tools. There's a section where it goes into the features and they have videos about it and stuff like that. But basically, he's been redesigning a lot of stuff from Consortium and building a fractal app that's like an all-in-one app for fractals. And I think that this will have like some of those things that Consortium is currently lacking, like the ability to archive a post but still be able to see it. And then also stuff like being able to sort it and so forth. And if you want to look into it deeper at edencreators.com/tools, you search for the next version in the table of contents, and then you can see different Figma designs where you can really dive in deep. Vlad made these a few months ago and he's got new plans now with this new proposal, but you can see a lot of different designs that he's been working on for this app, and you can zoom into different parts to see like all the different sections that he's designing for. He's got like a section here about how you can have different topics on the agenda and stuff like that. And so that provides sortability. The other thing that I'm excited to do is link up what we've been experimenting with Cignals at the anniversary meeting and the public good speech sessions. I'm working a lot with Noam on this. Huge thanks to Noam for helping to automate this spreadsheet. Also working with Rosmari and communicating with the Substreams and Firehose team at Psinq to automate this on the blockchain. But basically, I think that we can hook this up with Notion and have it where there's voting directly in an app like Notion, and eventually get that all on chain with something like a collaboration with Consortium. But you can imagine in Notion, you can make databases that are kind of like an Excel spreadsheet, or you could do it in Excel directly, but you can have it where people can vote similar to how we did with Slido for the other things. And then people on an ongoing basis could perhaps vote with like their Signal score or something like that, like we did for the anniversary of the pitch sessions, but do it for topics. So that's another way that we could innovate alongside and collaborating with the app that Vlad is building. I'm sure Tadas has a lot of ideas with Firmament too, so I'd be interested to hear that, or if anybody else has any other ideas. There's some resources I shared previously in other meetings about subsets in the graph, which is how we can use to get on-chain data into Notion. And there's lots of great resources from the team at Psinq where you can learn more about this. But I suppose that's kind of most of the presentation. I've been going for kind of a while already, so I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. There's a lot more links I can share that are all kind of in development here, but I guess that's a good place to maybe stop it. Happy to go into more details here, but I wanted to put a little bit of I just want to bring it up because I think that what we're doing here with Cagendas is really important. And last week was the first week I think that we didn't have a topic proposed in advance of the actual meeting, or in advance of the breakout room, until I brought it up and I was like, I don't really have a topic in mind, or I have a topic in mind, but it's not that good. And then I'm really thankful for Duane stepping up with the Eden on EOS topic. And it is really great when we have topics. Another possibility is what we did in the Alien World Fractal when there's no topic. Vlad proposed if there's no topic, then you just have a shorter meeting, and that's okay too. But I think it's an opportunity for us to make great videos together and guide the conversation. So I want to put that out there. Oh, and one other thing too is that there should be rewards for it. Like we're playing games and we're calling Cagendas a game, but it can be much more game-like. Like right now, it just people can vote on Consortium, and it's fun in the stuff that we make. But like we can make it more fun and more rewarding. So make it more simple, and then whoever makes the topics that are the most helpful, because that's a really big public good service to the community. If you make a topic that guides discussion and people enjoy it, like that should be rewarded. Thanks for the stars and thumbs up, Rosmari, and thanks for the inspiration here too. A lot of these ideas were inspired by conversations with Rosmari over the past week. yeah, basically you can imagine, and working on figuring out how to do NFTs with Eden creators at a larger scale, and also working on creator respect with Vlad with the Eden Fractal software. So I'm planning to allocate some rewards of some sort to people who make great topic proposals. And then you can imagine we can use what we've done with Cagendas so far and the further improvements to it to coordinate more large-scale promotional campaigns, to invite people to share their topics, and also grow this out so other communities can easily take what we're doing here and to implement in their community. For example, Eric has been hosting the Art Fractal. I believe he's still doing it, and he's doing an awesome job. He's also working with the Center for Governance. Jorge's been hosting the Spanish Fractal. Doug has been hosting the Aquadac, and Rosmari just released a podcast about that, and lots of different communities that people have going. So we can kind of take what we're doing here and enable any community to come to consensus about what do they want to talk about with their community agendas. So I've been talking a while. I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Would anybody like to share some comments or questions or thoughts about agendas and the presentation I shared there?
I do.
Great. Thank you, Barry. Go ahead.
I think agendas are an essential part of any decentralized group. It seems like whoever sets the agenda leads the group. And if you don't decentralize the setting of the agenda, you can't really decentralize a group. So the efforts that are going into this process, I think, are essential for the future of decentralized governance. So, you know, we're at the beginning of this, and these tools aren't perfect, but they are huge steps for what's needed, I think. And I'm already envisioning how they can be used. Right now, we're using them in this very flat environment, right, where we're all just kind of joining, and then we all get to a chance to set an agenda item and then discuss it. But there's many applications for it, so it's all good. It's all good. I appreciate your focus on it, Dan. That's all.
Thank you very much, Barry. I'm glad you appreciate it, and very well said. There's a really interesting article that I think Noam shared, or maybe Tadas shared, or maybe Jorge, or actually it was from Dan Larimer at first. I think Jorge maybe shared it again, if I'm not mistaken. It was like a month or two ago, where there was a video, something like mathematical proof about like democracy and why it's difficult to make it work. And there's also really interesting ideas about that in More Equal Animals, about like, well, what comes first in a way is like how people think. Like the media can set an agenda, and whoever is controlling the media, you sort of this lot, Perry, in your proposals and your D News, that decides like what gets discussed and so forth. So for the purpose of decentralization and community independence, that's really important. And then also coordination. So all communities can do amazing things together, whether they're aiming to help grow Eden Fractal or the Spanish Fractal, or help expand art, or whatever goal that they might have to make amazing music or videos or scientific research or whatever. Being able to coordinate over the best goals and discuss them, I think that's really, really important for many reasons. So thank you very much, Perry, for your support and your great ideas. I'd be happy to hear if you have more. I see Lisa also shared. I'm very excited about the future of social community games. I completely agree, and huge shout out to Lisa for doing a lot of outreach with the Fractal Inquiry channel in the Eden Fractal Telegram, and also she invited Matthew, who's the CEO of Starship, which is a really popular game, who's interested in using fractals, among many other initiatives that Lisa's been doing. So I'm stoked about future social community games too, and really appreciate Lisa. There's also some other comments here too about would somebody add a poll if somebody should put Fractal on Google Play. I'd also encourage too, if everybody wants to use the Telegram live chat rather than the Zoom chat, it probably would be quite easy to do that there, at least if you want to, or afterwards you can put it up on a Consortium or whatever. If you want, I could, but I'm not exactly sure what you mean. So maybe if you want to elaborate more, put the poll for yourself later, then would appreciate it. Yeah, and then if anybody has any other comments, Perry, you want to add to that or respond more, or?
I did. Google Play is allowing NFTs on December 7th, and you can apply starting now, I believe. So I wanted to propose that we discuss if we should put one or more games on Google Play. We can do it next week or whenever you want.
Very interesting. Thank you for the suggestion, Lisa. And yeah, it's great news that Google Play is accepting NFTs. I'm not totally sure. I'd be interested to discuss that. That could be potentially a bigger discussion, perhaps for next week, because I don't know exactly how it happened. I am thinking about doing a mobile app with the Mighty Network app that Joshua had been using for NDAO and Go Fractally, and that can work in Google Play or iOS, and I'm not totally sure how it would work in the near term, like because we don't currently give out NFTs, but also I want to start giving NFTs for these meetings as well.
Yes, like if you did the app and had badges as rewards, that would be a good example of something that might go on.
Yep, great idea. And for anybody who wasn't here, hasn't watched the 57th meeting, we talked a little bit about that and provided an update about the anniversary and the pitch sessions and the rewards we're sending out there. I still haven't sent those up. We're working with Vlad to get those out with the Eden Fractal software, and also learning about the different NFT tools, because I think that we have great potential in addition to building agendas tools to also build tools that make it easy for myself or any community or anybody hosting a meeting or anybody who wants to reward to also give out NFTs at these meetings. And then when we can get in the Google Play Store along with all that, then that'd be a fantastic way to help people enjoy these games and help people cooperate better. Thank you very much, Lisa, for the suggestion. And yeah, I encourage you. You also bring out some great topics before too. We didn't record it, but you're bringing out some great topics of potential collaborations to alien worlds and several other different things, by the design of the fractally games and stuff like that. So if you do want to make any topics for next week, Lisa, or future weeks, then I'd appreciate it. You have so many great ideas in your mind, and that offer is also open, of course, and encouragement is open to everybody here too. Lots of great people with great ideas here. So we'd be happy to hear more from you about this topic or future topics in different weeks. I see Lisa's unmuted again. Is there anything else you want to add here, Lisa?
Yeah, I think the one I put last time was Eden Fractal meant to be primarily to support Eden members or primarily to support fractals. And I think we've sort of had some small discussions since about Eden on EOS considering one that's supporting primarily Eden, in which case we might want to primarily support fractal, or we might consider doing both. But that I think is, I don't know if it's just one poll, yes or no. It might be some discussion, but what we were having a little bit before the recording was that we might want to have that discussion, and if we decide that fractal is either the focus or part of the focus, that some resources are allocated to that, meaning that some maybe roles that people could take or want to propose or take, and have some rewards for doing those. It might be welcoming and getting fractals set up, helping people's communities get engaged as they're getting set up, and even joining with them. Perhaps even some materials ahead of time for them to be able to share with their communities, sort of standardized but customized with them and be there for them as humans to help other humans. So food for future thought.
Thank you, Lisa. I'll note it is a little bit difficult to hear you, so if you could get a microphone set up that's a bit clearer. I was able to hear everything, but I just had to listen very closely. Then would appreciate that.
I'm sorry, it's my car.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me, is that better?
That is better. It's much louder now, I think.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I can hear you better when I hear you in the car, but you can hear me better if I speak on the phone. So sorry about that.
Okay, well, no problem. I was able to hear it. And also, sorry, Lisa, by the way, speaking of disorganization of the consortium, I did realize that you actually made more topics I didn't see before. So I'll share the screen. Thanks, Lisa, very much for sharing your thoughts there, as well as constantly thinking of ways to grow fractally and help communities grow with the fractal processes. I'll just briefly share this too, because you had made actually 3 polls that are quite related to the topic that are on hand. So one, I didn't even see this because it was caught up in this big list of different things. And then I just searched for Lisa and I realized that there was several different things here that I didn't see. I only saw one of them. So thank you very much, Lisa, for making that. And the one was how we support Vlad in creating sorting of consortium poll display by most recent date. And people voted yes. So that would have been helpful for me to be able to see it. In the future, I also encourage you when you make I should have done this week. I totally forgot about it. But in previous weeks, I make a consortium poll and I also post in the Telegram so people can see there. So in the, what's that? You say, okay?
I didn't even think about doing that. Great tip.
Yeah, in the interim, while while there's not a display by most recent date, that'll help us organize it better. I know Noam actually, I think, set up a topic on a topic for like topics, weekly topic proposals in the Fractalian Worlds chat. So maybe we should do something similar in the Eden Fractal chat, so we have a place to organize them while we're working on these consortium improvements. And yeah, well, my vote for that is yes. And as Vlad mentioned last week, he's working on an ENF proposal to build this functionality, I believe. And then Lisa also made this topic proposal, or this poll about would we like the members of Eden Fractal delegates and players, or to invite the members of Eden of Eden. I'm guessing she means Eden on EOS. I'm not totally sure. To participate in Eden Fractal, and there's 2 yeses. This goes along pretty closely with Duane's topic from last week, I think. And then also, should Eden Fractal be the welcoming Fractal of Eden member community? So my apologies for missing that, Lisa, but thank you very much for making these proposals. And I think what makes the most sense, this one had 2,000 votes 2 weeks ago, but I'd say that we continue with the topic discussion about consortium and cagendas and how to best organize these topics and stuff. If anybody has any other ideas, and then if we have more time remaining in this meeting, or if anybody would like to jump to this topic and the community reach consensus about it, then we can discuss more about potential collaborations with the wider Eden community and Eden on EOS. I realize I'm just looking at Perry and I'm clicking back and forth, so I'll stop clicking so much with Perry's feedback in mind. Thank you. I also received that feedback other places too, so I appreciate learning how to best do it. Sometimes it's like a nervous, or I don't know, I don't think it's nervous. I think it's just constantly clicking back and forth. It's a habit. But yeah, anyway, thanks so much, Lisa. If you want to add anything, I'd be happy to hear from you. If anybody else wants to share ideas or thoughts or feedback or questions about the future of Cagendas and Consortium and so forth, would be very happy to hear it. We could also move on to the other topics that Lisa had suggested about Eden community collaboration. That's very exciting as well. But yeah, so far we've heard from Lisa and Perry. We'd be happy to hear from both of you more, or if anybody else has ideas about this, we'd be very happy to hear about it as well. Any thoughts? I know Rosmari was sharing a lot of great thoughts about this over the past few days with me. So I see Rosmari raise her hand, quickly inspired. So Rosmari, would you like to share some thoughts here?
Yes. Right. So thanks for bringing it up. And it's such a coincidence that Lisa also wanted to talk about it. So I agree with that we have to spend some time working on how to improve that process for the topics. And also, we can work on just updating the Vlalendas article so that we include just the steps on how a topic or a topic proposal could be made, including the sharing in the topics topic in Telegram group, so that everyone's updated on that. And then yeah, just thinking about ways to encourage everyone to make topics. And then we can have it as a game where everyone can upvote and sort of make the other people or pursue participants to talk about what each individual finds most interesting at this point. And we can have rewards for topic that gets chosen as a main discussion point, which would be fun. And we can think about rewards. And also I was thinking you can start bringing people from other communities to share about their community and what their processes are to decide on topics, or just in general to provide updates too. That could be as well like a thing to spice up the topics that we discuss. That's it.
Excellent. You say that's it, Rosmari? I think so. Cool.
Yes, but also just to add that I also want to talk about the Eden collaboration as a second topic. Like I just had it in my mind too. Maybe like as an update, or what do we think? If anyone has thought more about that.
Excellent. Well, yeah, I'd like to discuss that too, and I think it's on people's minds quite a bit. We did have also a town hall about that with Perry and Rosmari and Gabrielle this weekend, or on Monday actually, which we'll release soon. And we did release the video on the Eden Creators YouTube channel from our last week's meeting with the discussion that Duane inspired about collaborations with Eden on EOS. So everybody can watch that and I want to just briefly respond to what you said there, Rosmari. Some great points you made. So, and I see Eric raise his hand. So let's go to the Eden community topic soon. But well, I don't know what Eric has in mind. So first, I'll just pass it to Eric, and then we'll take it from there. Eric.
Well, I would just take Rosmari's idea and expand on it and say that we need to host a periodic fractal gatherings, invite anybody doing this to get together and talk about these in a forum.
Yep, great idea. I agree. And these are like the periodic gatherings. Well, let me ask you, do you mean by periodic gatherings, is that different from the weekly Eden Fractal meetings?
Yeah, because the weekly Eden Fractals are each fractal by themselves. I'm saying have a gathering of all fractals. Any fractals, have Jorge, have
I think that's
Aquadac, can just come together just to chat about, you know, have some very directed questions. You can even have breakout rooms and just have fractals share the wealth.
That sounds.
I think that's so important that we can't. It's going to be very hard to find a time when all the fractals can agree on, where everybody can come. So we either have to send representatives, or we have to find a way to do it offline.
Well, it would be. Now, I think, you know, we have how many conferences, conventions, shows, gatherings are there? Tons. It happens all the time. You can get people together. Not everybody's going to make it. That's the way it goes. If they can't make this one, maybe they'll make the next one. Everybody doesn't have to be there. But if you just have
some things, especially if you're going to take a vote and you're going to be basing.
We don't need to. This is not about voting. This is not about voting at all. All it's about is having shared conversation. It's not about making decisions. It's not about creating a new group. It's just about fractals saying, here's what we want. Here's what
we make a California roll without sesame seeds.
Lisa, I'm going to need you here because we heard you asking about the California roll, no sesame seeds. Anyway, Eric, sorry about that. You can go on. I hope you enjoy your meal, Lisa. Eric?
Well, at these gatherings, we can have Lisa's sushi shop to go with Lisa's coffee. We can have that.
There you go. Sounds great. Yeah, so great point. Was there anything else you wanted to add there, Eric, about the purpose and vision for these fractal community gathering events?
I think the biggest thing for any marketing has to be taking concepts and making it as physical as possible. And the fact that people get together and talk and you anchor it in things is really important. So just the fact that you actually have an event, that is a big thing just by itself, because it's an event and events are real.
Right. Yep. And I agree. And also we had a great discussion about that at the Fractalian Worlds, talking about the open mic night, which I'm looking forward to, which could perhaps be a gathering place. There were some great comments in the Frat too. Lisa said it's brilliant how Fractal could host community events and how that can help people, either for people who don't know about yet, Perry asked Fractal Palooza, and Rosemary said, agree, amazing idea, Eric, and there could be a recording for those who don't attend. I see Tadas had their hands up, has his hands up.
The only thing I leave with is a Cagendas opportunity to figure out what the fractals want to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's a
Palooza or whatever we call it.
Fractal Palooza sounds fun. That'd be awesome. And we could do some Fractal DJ at Fractal Palooza too, like Lollapalooza and other concerts like Paloozas. I like that. That sounds cool. Great name. Looking forward to it. Maybe we'll have a Tupac hologram. We'll see about that. We're working. Also, I'll make a comment on Noam's point, then pass it to Tadas. First, well, Noam, Tadas did have the hand up before, so I mean, really, Tadas he raised the hand, so we should remember to be respectful of people who have their hands up, because Tadas has been patiently waiting here. And Eric was speaking a bit there. I think he jumped in. So in the future, if you could raise your hand to let us know when you want to speak, then I think that might be helpful. But also, you made a great point too about coordinating it. And And we also had some interesting discussions about that too in previous meetings. But yeah, with that, I'll pass it on to Das.
Yeah, generally, I like the concept of having a meeting, gathering of people from different fractals to share their experience, but I'm not sure it would be very helpful right now, because if you look at, for example, Alien Worlds Fractal and Eden Fractal, it's mostly the same people, I think. So I think we have enough opportunities to share
This is
our
Fractal
thoughts.
Palooza. We are doing the Fractal Palooza right now.
Fractal every week.
Exactly. we are doing it two times a week almost.
All right. Well, good point to us. And yeah, it goes back to Lisa's point, or Lisa's question: should Eden Fractal be the welcoming Fractal of Eden member, or actually no, there's a different one that she made about. Actually, maybe I'm incorrect about this, but yeah, excellent point. Never mind what I just said there. And perhaps an idea for the future as well as we grow more fractals. Marco was making some points about how we can grow fractals and the current size of it before. So, and look at that, Marco raised his hand. So we'll pass it on to Marco now. What do you think? Also, by the way, we kind of are drifting off into a new topic about Fractal Palooza a bit, and we still do have the Cagendas topic, which we can move on from if nobody has any other thoughts about it, and we have the Eden community topic too that we can discuss. But I see Marco and Perry have their hands up, so we can keep it fairly free-flowing. Marco, what would you like to share?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, just please do remember to try to speak loudly and clearly, because it sometimes cuts out when you don't do that.
All right, so I wanted to back up what Eric said and kind of dispel a little bit of what Tadas said in response to that. When Eric said share the wealth, and I get that people get this, more of ideas. So what we're doing here isn't really everything that's going on. The conversations that are happening here are different and just like alien worlds, where you have GameFi and then you have things that are related to GameFi. Even if they're the same topic, they take on a very different flavor. And then you have the Spanish fractal that has an entirely different dynamic. Eden is going very, very professional nowadays. I don't even know how much it goes into community concerns as much, or micro community concerns. And then any other, it'd also be a nice place to invite any other fractal ideas. So I believe that's an important thing, and I also believe, I'll throw it on, I forgot who mentioned the voting. The meeting doesn't need to center on voting, but since we're already accustomed to it, maybe at the meeting something will come up. I think that the big thing is we're sharing ideas, and then at the same time, since we already have a set of tools that other groups don't have, maybe some other unique stuff will come up other than just advancing a shared passion. Did that all get through?
Yep, I was able to hear everything you said there. Thank you, Marco, for all the thoughts and ideas and feedback to help us grow. And
I'll really back up on everything Eric said.
Great. Thank you very much. We can pass it to Perry now. Perry, would you like to share some thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Tadas and say that the Eden on EOS, the new bylaws, the new direction is to fund, part of it is to fund new DAOs. So hopefully we'll see new DAOs that employ the fractal process, and those will be new groups that we can work with. So hopefully we'll see more groups in the future if that is passed and succeeded and funded by ENF. So if ENF decides to start funding that, then wherever the money flows, people will show up, and maybe we will have more groups. So that's a positive note.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for sharing the positive note with us. We still haven't, well, I'll mention that we're at an hour. So Cagendas games usually go for an hour. Duane said, thanks to everyone. Have to get to your next meeting. Thanks, Duane. If you wanted to share any words and say goodbye, then feel free. But otherwise, great to see you. Really appreciate you joining and hope you have a great meeting, great day.
Thanks for the link, Duane.
Sounds great. And then, yeah, so Cagenda games, they go for an hour long. We can continue discussions. Usually we go for about a half hour longer. We can always wrap it up early today if we'd like, but we do have some other topics that people have expressed interest, and Perry mentioned Eden on EOS again there, so we could get into that. But first we'll see if anybody else has any thoughts about Cagendas. We heard a bit from Perry and Rosmari and Eric. Oh, one thing I wanted to add was in response to Rosmari about the Cagendas topic was a couple ideas that Rosemary brought up that I don't think she brought up there, but it could be really helpful. So one of the things that she's been helping with a lot as CMO of Eden creators is working on like improving our messages. Like for example, the message that she shared in the Eden Fractal chat and the Eden on EOS chat and other chats today. It's like a more inviting chat and it has a link to the agenda. And at some point that can include like an invitation to people who make proposals. And then also in the YouTube description as well, we now have like the new event links. People can easily find a way to join the Eden Fractal meeting, get email reminders. And then also in like the show notes and in the Telegram and Twitter posts, like these can be, all these are opportunities to promote the Cagendas game and promote this both as a tool and a way for people to come to consensus about set agendas, and also as a way to create more community engagement too. Like we reach out, for example, to the EOS community and we could say, here's some topics. If you want to discuss something relevant to EOS, then feel free to propose it. And people could even propose specific things. Like, for example, I don't know, if we wanted to invite on Eva Rose, the CEO of the EOS Network Foundation, we could vote and we could say, should we have Eve or something like that? And people could vote on it and make it fun in different ways. Thanks for the cops, Rosemary, and thanks for sharing the ideas on the ideas for me in the first place. So great ideas about how we can do it. I just wanted to add a bit more thoughts to what you shared before. I really appreciate you sharing those insights. If you have anything else you want to share there, I see Lisa saying we need Eyeke fractal and EOS fractal and UX fractal. I agree. We can form many more fractals. But yeah, so we're at 2 hours now, and maybe we go for another 20 minutes or half hour if people want. I know there's some interest in the following up on the Eden community discussion, but first I'll see, I haven't heard from several people about the Cagendas, or if anybody else wants to add more about Cagendas. Does anybody else have anything else on their mind related to the future of Cagendas and in general, people making community agendas and things that we've discussed on this topic? And then if not, we can move on to the other topics, but would be happy to hear from more people about this topic. And I see Perry has his hands up, so I'll pass it on over to Perry now.
I'm not sure if it's, well, it is kind of related to a Cagenda. It's an actual Cagenda item, but it's not related to the building of such. It can wait till later, but if you, I just want to remind you and ask you if you've had a chance to contact Gnome of IBC fame about what he's doing at the blockchain level, and how, if he can come and talk to us and share with us about all that he's doing, so that we could kind of use that as an inspiration for what we're doing. Because I think that's on the fireside chat, I made that suggestion, and I think that would be helpful for the group to hear from.
Yeah, absolutely. I see Rosemary giving a thumbs up there, and I agree. Thank you for bringing that up again, Perry, and thank you for also sharing that on the fireside chat. That was something that was really inspiring. I think just in the most recent fireside chat. So for anybody who's not familiar, Gnome, who I think everybody here probably knows, he's been to probably 5 or maybe 10 Eden Fractal meetings, and he's very highly respected in Eden Fractal and in the wider EOS and Antelope community. He is the lead engineer and developer for the IBC interblockchain protocol for the Antelope ecosystem. They work closely with the ENF. They got a big grant of $7 million to build this. They're also building instant finality as well, which will enable, currently it takes about 3 minutes for transactions or actions to finalize on EOS. I see Lisa clapping. Gnome is doing excellent work, and he's been quite a vocal supporter of Eden Fractal. There was a nice conversation between Perry and Gnome on the fireside chat, talking about how they met, and also, so that instant finality is really interesting for many reasons. You can make it like instant transactions and stuff, or that can be very helpful for all sorts of stuff, including signals as well. I have some exciting ideas there. And then also another part of it is he's building a new consensus algorithm that the EOS network is considering upgrading to. It's called Hot Stuff. It was created by Facebook, actually, or now Meta. They have a blockchain project called Libre, where they decided to use this Hot Stuff consensus mechanism. I'm sorry, what's that, Noam?
I think that was VMware. I don't think it was Facebook.
Oh, yeah. You are correct. Thank you for that. So it was created by VMware, but Facebook decided to adopt it, basically, for their Libre project. And so the idea was that, Gnome was speaking about how Facebook is very well resourced, obviously, and they have a lot of great talented engineers to pick some of the best software available. And they found the software from VMware called Hot Stuff, and they were planning to use that in the Libre project that they had that they wound up winding down. But it's a very interesting consensus mechanism that was developed about 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe a bit longer. I don't remember exactly. And Gnome found that, and he proposed using it for the Antelope and EOS ecosystem. And among instant finality as being one of the benefits, and the interoperability with IBC, another benefit that it has is that it can enable a community like EOS or blockchain like EOS to have multiple consensus mechanisms and assign different roles for block producers and I think block approvers, and then one other one. So it's not just the block producers have all the power to do everything, but there's different roles. And so that can essentially it can do a lot of things. One of the things it can do is it can change the power, and it can change the governance structure. Like Perry talks a lot about, I see Perry raise his hand, Perry talks a lot about having different like branches of government with different sets of power. And so that kind of thing could work similarly for EOS, where, say, for example, a community like Eden Fractal could have more power to help voice and make governance decisions on a network like EOS, potentially, with more human consensus and all the things we have here. Kind of a little bit similar to our collaborations with the alien worlds, where somebody like Michael, there's 5 different planets with different consensus mechanisms potentially, and he wants to empower one of those planets, to at least one of those planets so far that we've been doing with their collaborations to help make recommendations. So kind of similar to that, but also different, and lots of very interesting technology enabled by that. And Perry brought it up on the recent Fireside chat, inviting Gnome to come join us again and speak more about how this tool can work. And just to respond there briefly before I pass it back to you, Perry, I haven't reached out to Gnome yet. I started to write a response to him to reach out, and I have it pretty high on my to-do list right now. And I also started working on like a little bit of like a writing that could be kind of a generic thing to invite guests to, because I think like when podcast hosts, for example, invite guests, then they sometimes share about like the value that they can get from joining the community. And I know Gnome is very busy, and so I was thinking of just providing a bit more, saying about why I think this would be a really cool idea. So, and I think that could be used as kind of a template for inviting other people to get great people joining and sharing their thoughts there. But anyway, thanks so much, Perry, for bringing that up. And I'll pass it back to you now, Perry.
Well, I think you do a good job of giving an overview. The thing that caught my ear was that he was separating the roles. He was separating the consensus into different roles. And so that reflects the concept of separation of power, which we use in government, and that they might be counterbalancing each other. And so, and that he's doing it at the blockchain level, which is super interesting, because if it makes sense for us to employ it at a higher level of abstraction, like what we're doing here, humans, rather than different roles at a technical level, at a lower technical level, if it works at that lower level, and we can be inspired by that design, and we can learn what are they doing, and maybe even copy it. You know, maybe there's something to copy. And so I think that's super interesting to me, that there's somebody in our community that is actually developing that. So I hope that's what I got about it, is the separation of powers, and that we could possibly learn from that. So I'm excited when he does show up. I'll be really excited about it.
Perry, are you aware of the way that Ethereum handles it with the separation between block producers and validators?
I'm not sure if Perry heard that question. Perry, did you hear Noam's question?
Yeah, sorry, I had my mic muted. Uh, I know that they have different roles, but I don't know the details of that. So fire away if you do. Tell us.
I just know it exists. I'd love to hear somebody delve into the differences.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And I'm sure Noam knows, he's aware of that. I know he's familiar with how the blockchain roles are separated. So they're all using this similar concept of separation of powers. And it just seems to make sense that we should be doing the same thing. In some way, we should translate that to what we're doing.
What was the specific question again?
It really wasn't a question.
Yeah, so Noam was mentioning the difference in separating powers, how Ethereum does it. But yeah, there wasn't really a question involved though, and it was mostly just a very interesting discussion about. Was that Marco?
Wasn't it about the information about validators versus something else?
Validators versus what?
Versus something else.
Yeah, well, it was about how validators can be, like, the power can be separated basically. So you could have block approvers, block producers, and so forth. I see Das raise his hand, so let's pass over to Das and see what Das has to think.
Yeah, so Noam said validators versus block producers. That's, as I understand, that's what there is the separation in Ethereum 2.0 consensus protocol that Ethereum is developing.
And he mentioned one other party. He said there was 3 parties involved in the new process.
Yep, and I don't remember.
Yeah, but that's hot stuff. For hot stuff, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, and in Ethereum it's a bit different. It might be 2 in Ethereum.
Oh, okay.
If you want, I can comment on these things. It'll be about like 4 minutes if you like.
Marco, can you get closer to the microphone? We can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Although, Marco, we are like close to the time that we're probably on to wrap up the meeting, and if it would take 4 minutes, I think it might be most appropriate to discuss in a future meeting, perhaps when we invite Gnome there, so we can have a longer discussion about it. This wasn't, as Perry originally stated, it's kind of the Cagendas topic, and I'm glad that Perry brought it up. We've had a great discussion, but I think that probably best to stick to the topics on the agenda, unless if you want to share a very quick comment about it, like in less than 30 seconds or a minute or so, feel free. But I feel like we should get back to the other topics on the agenda and start wrapping up soon. Also, I want to give a shout out to Lisa and Gnome, because one of the things I want to mention is that Gnome is an active leader and patron of Eyeke. He helped fund the Fractalian Worlds, the Alien Worlds Fractal, and he's about to launch a new game too. And so he's also a big advocate for Eden Fractal and fractal processes, and Alien World. So wanted to throw that out there too in case I forgot. Marco, was there anything else you wanted to add there, or shall we proceed on? Or does anybody else have any last thoughts that you want to share about the topic? I think the next steps for this is I'll reach out to Gnome and invite him over, or if anybody else wants to, then I encourage you to do so as well. I just had a lot of things to do as well. But really appreciate you bringing that up, Perry, on the fireside chat, as well as here. And if anybody else has any other thoughts, Mark, or anybody else, then feel free to jump in. Lisa's saying she met Gnome here. I also met him from Eden too. So that's another great testament to Eden Fractal. Something you're saying there, Marco?
Yeah, it'd be great to hear from Gnome directly. I'm writing an article on this. It'll probably be available to his support in a couple of weeks. If you still want it, Gnome's not here next week, I can comment on it, but it does, I've been doing it for a while, through the node operators, meetings, and articles. I have been covering the transition to 5.0. So it's something that everybody here is anyway.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks, Marco. I've been reading some of your posts in the EOS chats, talking about some articles you're doing research for, and I'm very excited to see, your article about hot stuff, and also it would be great to maybe share that with the community when we invite Gnome, or if you want to just bring it up in another topic any other week, then feel free, and that might be an excellent synergy where we can have Gnome and talk more about it then.
You won't need my comment if you get it from Gnome. And you can, anyone here can go to the node operator meeting, or listen in, and start to get the gist of it.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well, we'd be happy to hear from you nonetheless. And I'm sure you can, I mean, Gnome, of course, provides excellent overviews. He's a very smart dude. But if there's anything you want to add there at a time, then I'd be happy to hear from you then. And of course, you can also come to the breakout rooms and share that work to get more respect from Eden Fractal as well. We are at, what is it, 1812 UTC. Normally we try to wrap it up by 1830 UTC. We could also do it shorter because 3 hours is pretty long, and I see several people had to go. Tadas, thanks for me and see you. I know that if there's any last thoughts about Cagendas, we can get back to that, but I think we've probably shared that. Feel free to jump in if you do. If not, I see Noam is sharing his hat or putting his Frisbee hat on. We had some interest from Rosmari before about, and Lisa's topics before about the Eden community. So if you want to discuss this for about 10, 15 minutes or share any other last thoughts about Cagendas or something else on your mind, then feel free. If not, we can also start wrapping it up. Any thoughts from anybody here? And Rosmari, I know you mentioned that you wanted to talk about the Eden community stuff. Was there anything in particular on your mind that you still want to discuss, or Lisa, as you propose the topics, if you'd like to do it, or we could save that for next week. That's also another option as well. And also there is two things I'll note before I forget. There's an Eden on EOS community meeting where we'll also be discussing these things every Thursday at 18 UTC. So people can also share thoughts there, as well as the video released last week in the upcoming town hall. And then one other thing I want to mention too is that Rosmari's planning to speak on the fireside chat. So we were just talking about the fireside chat this from last week, where Gnome shared that with Perry and the hot stuff, and this week Rosmari reached out to Stefan, the host of Fireside Chat, to introduce community stories and some of her work with Eden creators and Eden Fractal, and also I'm planning to speak a little bit there as well as Gudasol from Aquadac. He's going to be introducing it kind of for the first time generally to the EOS community, in addition to Rosmari's community stories episode. So encourage everybody to join the EOS Fireside Chat and support Rosmari and community stories and Aquadac and what we're doing here at Eden Fractal and Eden Creators. That will be starting the EOS Fireside Chat at 19 UTC. Happens every Wednesday at 19 UTC in the EOS Network Foundation Discord. With that, if there's anything else you want to add there, Rosmari, to any of that, or Noam or Perry or Marco or Lisa, thanks so much for being a part of this discussion. If you have any more thoughts about what I just mentioned with the Fireside Chat or Cagendas or the Eden community collaborations that Lisa proposed, then feel free to share here. Anybody have any thoughts?
You do a great job managing a community. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you very much, Lisa. I appreciate that. And that means a lot coming from you, because you do a great job, and that's an understatement. You do an amazing job managing community, and I've been super impressed and loving what you've been doing with the Eyeke Community Council and Alien Worlds and Eden Fractal. So thank you so much, Lisa, for everything.
I imagine you, Dan, as a pilot on a plane on a 747. Hello, and we're going to start our Cagendas right now, and please look to your right.
What was that, Lisa?
It is a lot like that. It's true.
It's a little like that. Yeah, Lisa, I think Lisa appointed me as captain of the EO ship when we start the EO ship. So I'm happy to be at your service, and I hope you will enjoy the flight. There'll be a little bit of turbulence maybe since we're out here in space. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate the analogy. But I think we're all pilots too. I mean, I'm doing my best to help lead and share it. But I mean, we're all a bunch of leaders here. So I'm doing my best to help guide and help lead the community, and really appreciate everybody else helping to lead us. And we are kind of going through a ship. Earth is a little pale blue dot in the cosmos. So we're all on a ship together in this thing we call Earth, in Eden Fractal as well. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit poetic now, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Perry and Lisa, for the kind words and inspiring analogies.
You're right. It's a trip to Mars, not over Earth.
Trip to Mars, the universe is a big place too, so we have lots of places to explore. Eyeke is a real planet out there, and it's constellation S14947679 or something like that. I don't know what exactly it is, but it's a far place away, and there's a lot to explore. Lisa's clapping. She likes it. I did recite that. No, I'm just joking. All right, cool. Well, yeah, thanks, Lisa and Perry. Anybody else have any other comments you want to share? I mentioned a few different topics, but if everybody wants to, we can go with Gnome's lead. And Gnome's also a pilot out there in between the two Earths. And so we can go with that suggestion, put on our hats, and call it a night, or call it a day, or call it a whatever time you're at. Any last thoughts before we wrap it up? Or good to see you, Perry. Enjoying the Riot Society? Not a bot still, right? Not a bot.
Not a bot.
Not a bot. Good to know. Had to make sure.
Still not a bot.
Lisa's been clapping a lot. Still not a bot.
Where'd you get that? We need those.
I got that from the block1voice.com.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Interesting history. I looked at Voice. I don't know if you can still hear me as I'm far away. I looked at Voice again for the first time like a month or two ago. That was a bit of a letdown, but you got a great hat out of it, so that was sweet.
Well, I'm talking about the previous version. Remember the previous version?
The first version was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
It had amazing plans.
Yeah. So that's when I was participating in that. This, I don't know when I actually got this. I forgot exactly when I got it, but there you have it. It's a good hat. I'm not a hat guy, but I just keep this.
Make some. I think we should make them and give them away.
Yeah, the same one.
Maybe with a little planet on it.
Maybe with a little what on it, Lisa?
With a little planet on it.
Maybe, yeah. Also, it would be amazing. I know Pascal made some fractally t-shirts and hats back when Genesis Fractal first started up, and it would be really cool to have Eden Fractal or fractal arts and stuff like that on shirts and hats. That could be a great way to spread the word. Also, can have QR codes on it where people can find the websites. But yeah, anyway, thanks for inspiring us with your hat, Perry. Anybody have any last thoughts, or should we maybe count down 3, 2, 1, go Eden Fractal? Anything else on anyone's mind?
Not for me.
Sounds good. And yeah, Lisa, I suppose there's some interest in the Eden on EOS and Eden community topics. But it looks like, I mean, feel free to add anything there if you want, but we could also save it for next week when we come in fresh. And I encourage you, Lisa, and everybody here, really, or anybody watching, if you want to make a poll on Consortium to create a topic. Ooh, Lisa is looking cool. Is that hair, or is that a what?
I'm gonna try to wear my shirt as my hat.
Very cool. Yeah, it looks wonderful. At first, I thought it was hair. I was like, wow, Lisa changed her hair color.
It's a cool shirt.
Okay. Here's a closing question, and Dan and I talked about it. We actually talked about asking you, Lisa, about what kind of salute at the end of a meeting is appropriate for a decentralized group, right? If we do the centralized salute, which is slightly Mussolini, slightly Hitler, you see it, and it my hand up there. I'm not sure if that's appropriate.
You know what that leads to? That leads to that. And we don't want that. We want that.
And this, the peace.
Oh,
peace in the world.
It's not peace.
Oh, this is gun. And we want peace.
Okay, so you know what that
And
means?
we want that.
Maybe we should put the peace sign.
It's not peace.
So peace, okay.
Peace?
Read up on it. That does not mean peace.
What's that? This doesn't mean peace?
Victory?
No.
This means peace? What is? I thought this was like the universal peace sign. Or maybe this one? Excelente.
Fingers up. It started out with I think one of the battles, the British, the French in the French-British wars were so, the French knights really hated the British longbowmen. So when they caught them, they would chop off their fingers.
Woo!
What?
When they came back from a
I heard
battle
that.
victorious, they would go like this to show they still had their fingers.
Oh my God.
That sign took a bit of a turn in my mind. It was previously just peace and love and joy. I mean, we can still focus on that, I think. I know there's lots of need for this.
So use this for V for victory, not peace.
Sometimes it's good to forget the past. I'm going with the Ringo Starr Peace and Love model.
That's what I was thinking. Peace and love, peace and love. George Harrison too. Yeah.
I can get behind that. I can get behind.
When Winston Churchill used that, it was victory.
Okay. Well,
no one learns history anymore.
Well,
We are in victory of peace.
Victory of peace. There we go.
You could do a heart too, except my hand's holding the phone, so I need someone to do the other half.
A heart? Yeah, you could look with your eyes too, which is kind of nice.
I'm going for peace.
All right, peace sounds good. Yeah, how about we do that?
I do it in every video, and it doesn't mean I still have my fingers. It means peace and love. So.
Yeah.
I mean, stop fighting, you crazy people around the world.
Right.
Rosemary's looking for someone else to do the other half.
It depends on who this will be for, like who will see on the camera, because Zoom changes it. I'm having a difficult time with this.
It depends how many people are on the screen.
Oh, this would be awesome if we could do this.
You guys are above each other, though.
Make it look good.
No, for me they're right. Yeah, okay,
yep.
there you go.
Oh, there we go. We're doing it. Perry, I'm going for you. Perry, I'm going for you.
I did it. Check it out.
You have to lower your, make a good shape. You're not really making a,
it's not so easy.
Yeah. It
I
is.
like this more. Oh,
Seriously,
I'm getting a hand workout right now.
Well, I have to do it?
Yeah, you can do it too, Perry. What are you doing, Perry? You're doing it totally wrong, I think.
You have to get close to the camera.
Put your hand, Perry.
This is how community coordinates.
Oh my God.
Perry, I don't think you're doing like the proper.
Are these your hands?
I've lost control of my arms.
Oh no. And we can't see him. He's a bot now. There we go.
That's just hopeless. That's just hopeless for me.
All right. Well to see in post production. What's that? Good exercise. Yeah, my hands feel stretched out. We have maybe in video editing we could post some video editing tricks. But anyway, I guess we should probably wrap it up soon. And I think we could probably go with the peace sign because that's pretty easy and simple. And we can redefine the peace sign to make sure it's peace. People did crazy things in the past, but peace sign is pretty good, I think. At least for now. We can figure it out later. But I'm up to do this if everybody's down for it. And then we'll go 3, 2, 1, Eden Fractal. Okay. Sound good? All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1, 0. Go Eden Fractal! Woo! I didn't have my hat on, but now it's on. It was on the whole time. All right, thanks everybody.
Mine are vibrating. Mine are vibrating.
Vibrating. Oh, they're vibrating with the universe's energy. So much.
We are number one.
Praise got so much love, and we're victory. Yeah, number one. All right. It looks cool.
See you guys.
See you guys. Thanks everyone. Love you. Thanks everybody. See you next week. Bye bye.